On this week's episode of Friend Code, we're talking about the most recent Indie World Showcase. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Friend Code. I'm your host, Michael Damiani. This week, I'm joined by Ash Paulsen.
Hello there. Nice to be back.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you, man. Thank you for coming out.
Of course. I'm always happy to be here. It's so nice to only live like 15, 20 minutes away from you guys where I can just pop on over anytime you guys want to have me.
We always appreciate having you on the show.
Well, thank you.
And we're also joined by Kyle Bossman.
Hey.
How's it going, Kyle?
It's going okay.
This is a very highly anticipated episode of Friend Code.
I've been thinking about this.
We have been building up to this for almost a year, actually, because there's been one of these a month. 12 months of these A Day With Pikachu Funko. They're Funko Pops. Do you believe that? They're actually...
No. They might be Funko. They're not Funko Pops.
Okay,
Exactly.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction. They're from Funko, but like, would you expect them to make something that looks normal?
I actually did not know until we were recording this that these are actually Funko because they're things I would want to own myself. I never want Funko Pops are awful, so these are great.
I'm not a fan of Funko Pops. Was a fan of these. Didn't really intend to do it, but got halfway through it and I was like, had this idea about, wow, wouldn't it be brilliant to have Kyle come in and rank these things? And that's what we're going to do. Been touting it for months. It's happening now. They are based around each month of the year. They have a theme, North American Hemisphere. So as they came out, they were doing the months so we just went through like the winter months. We're now heading into spring. So it started last spring. I believe the first one was the St. Patrick's Day, which it is. Wow.
That's today.
That's actually perfect.
Perfect.
Wow.
Started there, went with Rainy Day Pikachu, and culminated all the way, I believe, with...
February.
February, yeah, the Groundhog Day spoof one with Diglett.
Nice.
And Kyle, I've seen you kind of make remarks about these here and there, but I'm very curious because in my mind I have ones I don't like and ones I like, but I'm really curious to see what you think about this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Listeners, they're all like 2.5 inches tall.
Yes.
Imagine a bunch of Pikachus, various expressions, 2.5 inches tall, various costumes. The first one I want to call over Damiani is this one who's on an inflatable raft.
Oh, a inflatable Psyduck.
So this looks like a summer
great.
Pikachu. It's riding a wave. It has a little blue cola or something that is
like an icy
Yeah,
slushy?
so maybe it's an icy.
See, I was going to say that's blue carousel, so you guys are in a completely... I figured it's summer, man. He's having a, having a great time.
Yeah. Though he does look concerned, so it's not going to be number one, but I do want you in maybe the top 5. Easily number 1 to me is the Groundhog one. It has a Diglett being the Groundhog. You can see its shadow and Pikachu's shadow, and it looks terrified. What an expression. It's not one you get to see naturally Pikachu make, so that's
true.
That's a really special item. This New Year's Pikachu with a little hoot as its clock. Its face is too wide. It's going to be near the bottom. That's going to be a bottom
wide
3.
face.
So the Pikachu's face is too wide.
Yeah, Pikachu's face is too wide.
Wow, okay.
We have a sleeping Pikachu in a... Is the thing called a cornucopia?
I thought so. That's what I call it.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving cornucopia. Really nice little shaman cookie. It's clearly taken a bite out of. It's got some berries, so it's got some nice Pokemon context, also some nice seasonal context. That's a top 3 statue right there.
Nice.
Sports fan Pikachu with a Victini number 1. You know, the big foam number 1 hats. Don't like Victini. That's going to be near the bottom.
Wow, can't even get caught with the pandering.
Rainy Day
Ouch.
Pikachu is very sad. Maybe I'm just attracted to these sad Pikachus. It's got a puddle beneath it that is see-through. It's wearing a cute little jacket. It's going to be in the top. The one they started with.
Yes.
The Leprechaun Pikachu. He's got a big old leprechaun hat. He's definitely in the middle, right? That's just like your standard.
Sure.
It is what it is.
Played
Sure.
it safe.
Yeah.
It's
expected.
Okay, so the leaves, the leaves with the Pumpkaboo, very cute expression. The Pumpkaboo's having a really good time. They're in a pile of leaves. I get very good autumn vibes. So man, this might be a top 3 as well. We'll settle this soon. Yeah, let's see what you have over there, Damiani.
These are your remaining 4.
Okay, so something's wrong with this snowman one.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Pikachu's wearing a Delibird hat, which I already hate.
He looks like he hates it too. If you look at
Delibird
his
is the
expression.
Christmas Pokemon. Yeah, and his expression is one of discontent. I think he made a snowman with a little ditto face, and he's not happy with it. I'm not happy with you. You're a bottom 3.
Ouch.
Okay.
4th of July Pikachu and this spring Pikachu, they belong in the middle.
Okay.
A Flabébé is one of my least, so if you're going to be in the middle, bump it even further back because Shade's Pikachu. Let's bring him up. Pikachu's,
I mean, of course. With curry. I mean,
Yes.
it's just seeing that. Now I'm hungry for curry thanks to this guy. So
I had curry for lunch.
Pikachu wearing sunglasses? Okay, so that's very good. Okay, I think we almost have this.
Okay. So these are bottom 3.
Yeah, are you the top? We're going to do this, we're going to do this. We're going to swap you for there.
did you get a good look at this one?
Okay. And
that's
so what we have right now, the official rankings. No,
Oh, wait. Okay. You said these 3 are bottom 3. You said this was in the middle towards the bottom, though. So.
yeah. No, this is right. This is the official ranking. I'm locking these in.
All right.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Decisive.
So number 1. No, we should go backwards.
Okay.
Number 12. New Year's Day Pikachu where his face is too wide. Number 11. Sports fan Pikachu celebrating Victini, one of my least favorite Pokemon. Number 10. Unhappy Snowman Pikachu is also wearing a Delibird hat, another Pokemon I don't like. Number 9. Springtime Pikachu, just very regular, has a Flabébé, don't like Flabébé. Number 8. St. Patrick's Day Pikachu. Nothing bad to say about it, but
Sure,
it's
it's
not
just-
too special.
Right.
It's kind of what you would expect. Number 7. 4th of July Pikachu. Nice sparkler effects.
Yeah.
Great expression. But you got to be something special if you're going to rank up here. Number 6. Sunglasses Pikachu. And, by the way, Sunglasses Pikachu has painted eyes beneath the sunglasses. That's attention to detail you can only find from Funko. Number 5. Cornucopia Pikachu. He's sleeping. He's very cute. He's got the itis. Number 4. Playing in leaves Pikachu. I like Pumpkaboo in this situation. And I like just sitting in leaves. It's very cute. Number 3. Summertime Pikachu, who's on the inflatable Psyduck raft. Number 2. Sad Rain Pikachu. Love the raindrops hitting the puddle. And number 1. The Groundhog Day Diglett and very terrified Pikachu.
There you have it.
Pretty good
Yeah.
rating
Very
all
good
things.
job, Kyle.
Yeah,
That
well
was
told.
fun.
Very nicely done.
was
Very
fun.
nicely done.
The official rankings.
And that is it. We will be moving on to
Eevees.
Day with Eevees.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Afternoon with Eevee.
Oh, yes.
I have the
Oh, is
first
that-
one here.
Oh, okay.
It's not in this room.
I think it actually is in this room.
No, I saw Brad take it.
Oh, Brad took it.
Ah.
Darn it. The second one did arrive, but due to the coronavirus stuff, it's an Amazon locker. I can't get access to it for a little while,
Oh, man.
so
It'll be a while.
that's fine. They
No
just
rush.
started. There's no
No
rush.
rush.
There's
Yep.
only going to be 9 of them.
Yep.
So they're doing a whole new series every month. There will be a new one.
Well,
or-
it's not every month. It's,
Oh, okay.
I guess it will be every month for 9 months, but it's not a. They're
Not a
not
whole
going
year
with the
this time.
yearly theme, I believe,
Got
this
it.
time.
One for each Eevee evolution.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
that'll be
the
cool.
theme.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we do about that. But yeah, again, thank you for doing that, Kyle.
It was my pleasure.
I only want to say one comment about this because one.
Oh, please. Yeah, you said you don't like some.
the Psyduck summer one, that was actually my least favorite.
Number
Wow.
Number
three.
3 was
Really?
my
Your least
I just
favorite?
hated how big the shape of it. I just always, every time I was sitting them down, I had to it was so frustrating having to find a place to put it. At least the Cornucopia one, I enjoyed putting it down. It was pleasant to me to put down, but that one for me was always a little bit of an eyesore.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm changing the rankings.
Oh no!
Yeah. It's number
okay.
4 now, and the leaves are number 3.
Well, now what if I were to say that I thought the Flabébé one was kind of unfairly passed over because it's so colorful and so. I mean, what don't you like about Flabébé?
Flabébé to me is a filler Pokemon. It's the thing that I would not want in my party. I don't want.
That's a
that.
good point. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Think about just Rhyhorn, right?
Yeah.
Just think about it like a Rhydon, just a big, bulky, nasty Pokemon, and then you have a Flabébé fighting it. It just makes me unhappy.
This is the one I'm going to teach something to
Fair
on the
enough.
side because I don't want to waste a move on an ability back in the day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're going to learn something.
Yeah.
I get it. Woo! Thank you very much, Pikachus.
This is
Cool
something to
idea.
keep for life. This is actually a great collection.
I'm actually thinking about. Well, unfortunately, we are not doing our in-person EasyX next week. My original plan was to give these away.
Dang, me too. I had a
Because
bunch
I
of
kept the
stuff,
box.
yeah.
I kept the boxes.
Yeah.
So I was gonna
Right.
put them back in the box. I'll hang on to them as long as I don't get thrown out by somebody. Maybe next year if we come around and do another meetup of some kind, and we can do a giveaway. very likely you could see the 12 of these making an appearance. You might be able to take one home with you. We'll see. Maybe the Eevees will be available by then too. You never know.
I'm just glad I learned that there are Funko things that I would want to own, because I didn't know that prior to literally now seeing these, because I just associate Funko with the Funko Pop awfulness. So these, I kind of want to get these.
I wonder if it's like a director who does a huge movie. They do the pops, but then they do like little movies that, you know, are very creatively fulfilling for them.
Sure.
So, you know, they do their Funko Pops all day long, and then on the weekends they might like make some Pikachu.
It's like, it gives them some respite from, you know, those hideous Funko Pop designs. Like, this is my happy place. Yeah.
Right.
Woo! Been looking forward to this. So happy it's done. We had a Nintendo Direct this morning, an Indie World Showcase.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
they don't use that word.
Well, you know, people throw around Direct very loosely.
True.
Very
over you know the last few years. Anything that Nintendo puts out as a video announcement is just called a Direct. It's just shorthand.
Even other companies, we call them Direct.
Like the Yacht Club Directs.
State of Play, we just call it Sony. Where's the Sony Direct?
Yeah.
Where's it? Anyway. Indie World Showcase. I made a mistake, actually. I thought the last one was in January, but it was in December of last year, right around the before the Game Awards, actually.
That was
or right after the Game Awards, sorry. It was like in that like week period, I believe, right after or right before. But I thought it was the beginning of the year for some reason. I just like, that's how
I thought so too for some reason.
I misremembered.
Yeah.
That weird effect where you're so sure of something and you go and check on it and all the YouTube videos like, there's no January 2020. There's December 2019.
That's right. Because I remember January coming like, okay, here comes the Nintendo Direct for January. I do remember that. And so I would have thought maybe the indie thing would fill in for
We've
that.
had an Animal Crossing Direct. Came around the same time that the last major Animal Crossing Direct for the previous major game happened, about a month-ish before the release. So as expected. And this Indie World Showcase coming out, we're recording today, is the week where GDC would normally be. Unfortunately, GDC was one of the first conventions that got postponed to potentially canceled because of the coronavirus. But they're doing a digital thing this week, doing online streams, streaming online some of the presentations that some of the presenters still wanted to do. The vault has been opened up, and Nintendo apparently had this ready to go, and they're still releasing it. So we got a 20-minute Indie World Showcase today.
Yep.
I want to say that it was interesting because we had someone new as one of the team members hosting it this time.
Yeah.
Do you know who it was?
John Vignacchi.
Oh.
I don't remember his title.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what he is at Nintendo right now.
So I was looking up because Kirk Scott is usually the person who presents them. Samantha Robertson has been the co-host for the last two. She is actually taking over for Katie Casper, who is leaving Nintendo or left Nintendo at the beginning of this month, because it used to be Kirk and Katie doing these, especially when they were called Nindies,
right?
And then they became Indie World Showcase. But yeah, now John has taken over for Kirk. Kirk is still at Nintendo, still kind of like the head honcho behind the scenes, like doing the publisher relations with securing all those indie titles, those timed console exclusives, a word they really like to use.
I
can vouch for that. I saw him at PAX East while I was demoing Berserk Studios' new game. So yeah,
nice.
he's definitely forging all those very meaningful relationships.
Thought they did a great job, the two of them.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that intro they used. It's the one I've been using on all the Indie World Showcases. It's the same exact intro. I was like, oh, I thought it varied a little bit, but it's the same.
So yeah, I barely remember. It's like an animated intro. It shows like some scientist with glasses.
Yeah, like they shoot like the little like piece of like mineral or whatever, and it like heats up, and then like it zooms in on the reflection, and then it becomes like the globe spinning, and
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's not direct. It's weird because it's not directly related to anything in and around indie gaming, but that also kind of helps it stand out more in a way.
I think it gives it a nice personality. Like they could have just stayed with the logo and gone right into it, and they kind of have a rhythm going now where they just kind of like do that and go right into a game. And they started off with an interesting one this time, Blue Fire. This is I think this was a reveal, actually. This is from being developed by Roby Studios, published by Graffiti Games. It's like that chibi ninja hooded character, like character action looking like swordplay, but then like the platforming, like Prince of Persia running up sides of wall, lots of cool like things like that.
That's what got me into it. And when I saw the 3D platforming, I'm like, oh, this is kind of a neat I don't know, like it wasn't just a brawler, it wasn't just a platformer. It kind of seemed to do a little bit of both, but there aren't that many 3D platformers these days, even after things like Ukulele. So it's nice to see what it looked pretty sharp, I gotta say.
Yeah, the platforming spoke to me.
Yeah.
The more I saw of like the mechanics of running up walls, jumping, dashing, and then like the I want to call it like character action light-esque combat.
Yeah.
It's like action. It's very action heavy. The combat. This speaks to me. I am so in. I was very happy. I was doing solo reactions this morning, and I had a smile on my face for this one.
Yeah.
I was very happy.
It was a strong start.
It seems like the platforming is its own, like the void. You know, I think they had a name for the area. It seems like it's
I think it was the void, yeah.
Yeah, just like there's platforms floating. So it does seem like that's a completely separate part of the game's flow.
Yeah, I have some details. So again, Nintendo, they have game pages on Nintendo.com.
Cool.
Most of these games have the information on there. Blood also forwarded me a bunch of emails with details. And then some of these games only had pages and snippets on their own studio pages. Didn't have a page up on Nintendo. This one, Blue Fire, I believe, does not have a page up on Nintendo.com yet. So I had to go off of the email and Roby Studios website. And here we go. Travel through the parish world of Penumbra to explore unique areas filled with diverse enemies, sharp 3D platforming challenges, quest collectibles, and more. Encounter dangerous enemies with distinct fighting styles and partake in intense combat platforming boss fights.
Combat
platforming.
Boss
So you know there's probably going to be either a phase part of the boss fight where you're going to need to like jump up or something.
Right.
Or maybe you have to like interact with the environment to reach up to like a head or something because you're just too low.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like you'll have to traverse the boss itself maybe to reach its weak point.
I like that.
Or traverse a much bigger environment to get to different parts of the boss.
I really like fights like that.
Yeah.
I love platforming and I love action combat, like character action, essentially like Devil May Cry style combat. Doesn't need to be as in depth as that, but some mixing both of those because I don't think Devil May Cry does very good platforming. It's not a platformer.
Not quite.
I'm not a fan of the jumping mechanics in those games, but that's not what I play them for.
And they don't really focus on those too much.
Yeah,
Too.
and like this game obviously is not going to have the depth, I'm assuming, of Devil May Cry, but I like that happy medium.
Yeah.
I love the like the blending of those two things. There's some lore stuff here, or I guess like other characters. A long time has passed in Penumbra since it fell into darkness. But those who survive the kingdom's fall will aid you in your journey and unlock valuable rewards. So I didn't really pick up on any NPCs. I didn't rewatch it after the initial viewing. But it looked to me like maybe it was just be level based or something. Proceed forward, fight a boss. But
maybe that sounds suggestive of side quests where you can save certain NPCs who will then reward you, but those rewards might be lost forever if said NPCs perish.
Because they talk about upgrades and collectibles. There's obviously going to be like secrets. There's going to be like hidden paths and stuff like that. Yeah, and then they talk about the Void. You were right, Kyle. It's called the Void. You find void entrances throughout the world to uncover abstract platforming challenges that require great skill.
That sounds exciting to me.
And you know what? It might be cool to keep them separate.
Yes.
If somebody would be frustrated by those segments, they can just be like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to keep playing this level.
Exactly.
That's actually maybe a cool thing to do.
It's like any game that you come across challenge. Like we're just talking about Devil May Cry, the most recent one, Devil May Cry 5 had those like challenge. They always have challenge fight rooms. Like don't touch the ground, like the entire fight, like crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love this because it reminds me of Super Mario Sunshine.
I was about to say that Mario Sunshine.
The challenge rooms for sure. Yeah.
And those are my favorite parts of the game. However,
they were my favorite part.
But I can also see that from the other side of the equation, where if you're not into that really white knuckle platforming and you prefer to have that safety net of the flood, you can just ignore those if you want and get shined in other ways. Unless you're going for 100%, then you gotta suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this one, and it is coming, launching first on Nintendo Switch this summer as a timed console exclusive. So a lot of these games you'll see, all these games actually are 2020 releases. Most of them are summer.
You know what though? With that phrase, Damiani, we can never allow them to say that they don't think of Xbox and PlayStation as competition.
For sure.
100%.
That's like
I won't hear it again.
It's like the social contract between them. Hey, we're all friends here, but at the end of the day, business is business.
If you're going to use the phrase console like exclusive.
Because they do say outright. One of them is an outright timed exclusive, not even
Yeah.
console, just timed exclusive. Means you're not even gonna get it on PC
Yeah.
or phone. So yeah, they do care about this stuff. And I think more specifically with indies, I think this is Nintendo's bread and butter when it comes to securing exclusives from third parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I hate to be too real here, but what do you think, if any, what shadow does the coronavirus cast over all these potential dates?
Ooh,
I mean, Nintendo had to go forward knowing that they were promising these dates, but they and we don't know when this pandemic's going to subside.
We could quickly touch upon that because there was a report that came out either yesterday or today stating that games that already have a release date through April seem to be safe. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Right.
Resident Evil 3, they've gone gold, they're coming out.
Yeah.
But games beyond April are potentially in limbo about they were saying I didn't write it down because I wasn't prepared for this subject.
Sure.
So send me the correction on this. I'll take this correction, chat. Viewers, I'll take this correction for sure. Leave it in the YouTube comments. I'll give you credit next episode. But that person on Twitter, I want to say there was someone from Sony, maybe was the person who was tweeting about it. Basically said that expect a lot of delays.
Yeah.
Expect delays for software. It's not just don't even think about hardware. Think about software. And we have seen this actually already. We saw that what was it just announced today that. Oh, no, I'm thinking of movie stuff. Sorry. The movie stuff, like Matrix 4 shut down production in San Francisco.
Black Widow got pushed now.
Movies are being pushed back. So it was very understandable that this was eventually going to hit video games. Oh, sorry. The panic button today was the emails from Amazon about Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh.
Right.
It not being able to be delivered on date because Amazon specifically as a retailer is prioritizing essentials to deal with the situation, whereas now people are turning towards Best Buy and GameStops is more because they're going to prioritize games and shipping games because that's all they deal in electronics, and they're going to go to them instead of Amazon. So that's not quite the same thing, but
well, it also hit closer to home this morning too. With that, it's only been like translated from a secondhand source so far, but the new Famitsu column by Sakurai talking about how development of the next Smash DLC character is likely to be impacted by coronavirus.
I swear I read stuff like online.
I mean, it doesn't hit much closer to video game home than that as Nintendo fans. It's like, oh man, of course it makes sense, and Sakurai's got to be safe, his team's got to be safe, but it makes you wonder how this is going to affect these indie world games, especially with everything, indie development by its nature being global. So many different, studios from different parts of the world were shown off.
And that's funny because the next game we're actually going to talk about, Baldo, is from Italy, which has been one of the hardest hit countries. And I think this is very pertinent. I do think that this was all filmed before all this spiraled out of control to where we are today, and that these dates realistically could move, especially the ones that are in summer or later. Mm-hmm. But Baldo, this is a game that they introduced it by saying, do you like anime? Do you like animated films? Do you like JRPGs, basically? And then they show this game off, and it looks like I had people tell me it looked like Ni no Kuni. It looked like a Tales RPG. Like it just had that like vibe close to it. I didn't think it was quite the same.
Didn't quite,
but it looked like it was going for that kind of aesthetic.
Shooting for it.
Yeah.
Shooting for it.
I'm not sure if it quite makes it all the way.
This game has been around actually for a little while. When I went to go check their information, I got linked to a Facebook page from their website, which took me to a video that was from 10 months ago, which was like a gameplay reveal, which had every single shot that was in this trailer. It was just a cut down version of that gameplay trailer.
Interesting.
And nothing, I don't want to say nothing was new, but it didn't look like anything really was that new. Let me give the credit where credit is due. Developed by Nap's team. As I said, they were going for Ghibli-style visuals, RPG with dungeons. It's like, I don't know the characters' names, but it's a red-headed girl, a blonde-headed boy. They say, in the game, you're going to meet many weird and funny characters and become immersed in the amazing world of Baldo. An action-adventure RPG full of puzzles, intriguing gameplay mechanics, and intricate dungeons to solve spread through a wide, interactive, open world.
Cool.
Does that get you excited?
Not really. It's not that I mean, I with all respect to indie developers, I love indie games, and obviously they have to work with a lot less resources than the big devs do, and I respect that. But I had a lot of GX fans reply to me on Twitter. I was tweeting about the games I was looking forward to most from Indie World.
Yeah, sure.
And this wasn't among them. And a lot of people are like, oh, but what about this game? And I'm just like, I went back and watched the trailer again, and I'm like, it's still not quite. I know what it's trying to be, and it may get there. But based on what we saw today, it's not there yet for me. And I'm just not. I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach here.
I definitely think I'm drawn to the aesthetic.
Yeah,
it definitely has potential. And I liked what I saw from it. But again, I watched this trailer, I think, 3 times now. Mm-hmm. The second and third viewing, actually looking at what I'm doing in it, it didn't... I got this dread that it was going to be a little too simplistic.
I kind of got that
it wasn't
sense.
doing anything that ambitious in terms of its actual gameplay. And this line about an open world, I just looked at it. It looked like this looks like an old traditional Zelda style
That's the
world
thing.
map.
I think they mean open world Zelda style.
I think they made
must,
yeah,
right,
exactly.
they must,
I think I don't need to get hooked up on marketing terms here.
Yeah.
But but what it looked like, it just it looked very traditional.
I'd say the camera is Zelda style too.
Yeah,
exactly.
2D Zelda.
yeah,
I mean,
and
exactly.
I wouldn't really want to explore a full open world from that viewpoint anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
No,
so
no.
kind of So,
But it was basic stuff like walking up to an NPC and like a blacksmith looking character like with the sword hitting it. There was like pulling a chain down. Like there are a few enemies. It was like it felt like a slow paced experience, and I almost would prefer having I was like, I'd rather see this as almost anything other than a video game.
that's just rude.
Well, like when you bring up those visuals, like I need something also compelling when I'm seeing the game itself.
right.
And I'll still give this a chance. I was very happy when I was watching this, but as I rewatched it, that happiness kind of sunk down to like mediocrity. I just felt this game, what I saw was very mediocre.
That's kind of where it looked a bit mediocre, and like something about the visuals, I respect what they're going for, and I love that Ni no Kuni style, but it fell short of it in a way that I couldn't quite get past it. I don't know. Like again, I don't want to doom this game to it might be great, and it might just need more work, but it just what they showed today didn't get me as hyped as they clearly are about it themselves, and I wish them all the luck in the world because making games is hard. Yeah. So I wish them all the luck in the world. It's just not quite there yet for me.
Yeah. Anything? You looked like you wanted to say something. For a second.
So I'm trying to build the hypothesis.
Okay.
Because I feel like if you get close to a thing, if you have a very clear inspiration and you don't quite get there, it makes your game look less than. And I think that might be the problem it's facing today.
Sure.
Is if you try to go as hard as Ni no Kuni does, straight into Ghibli, and you don't hit it exactly, maybe it makes your game look lesser quality than it actually is in a way than if you just went in your completely way different direction.
I see what you mean.
There's like so much that matters in terms of realizing that type of vision, and especially that aesthetic. Like the animations just have to be on point.
True.
When you look at something, especially like the original Ni no Kuni, how fluid the characters' animations are in battle and the overworld map when they're in the smaller form, and then when they're in full form running around towns, it just looks so fluid. It looks like almost an anime in motion. It's really good. And when, as you said, Kyle, I think I agree with you. I think that's what's putting it off to me a little bit as I am exposed more and more to it, and it sinks in that it's not quite there. But it is, sorry, let me clarify. It is coming as a timed console exclusive this summer. So I don't know how much they're going to be able to change in that time, but I'll still try it out. I'll still give it a chance because maybe I'm just looking at it the wrong way. And once I get my hands on, there are so many games that you see a video trailer for it, even if the gameplay, it doesn't click with you. And then you finally try it out and you're like, oh yeah, like this is something you have to play.
It's definitely like it's on my radar to the point where even if I'm not like, oh, I'm really excited, it's kind of like you said, I'm willing to give it a shot because it gets enough of the way there to where I know it's at least the groundwork is based on things that appeal to me, things that I've always liked. So I'll definitely give it a shot.
For some reason, this brings a comparison for me. The game Rhyme. That was
yeah.
Tequila Works. For some like. It also had some of the same things maybe going against it at first. The animations didn't look as fluid, but it had like a really appealing aesthetic, and people kept drawing in, but also a lot of questions about its gameplay. But in the end, to me, the game was really good. So that's what I keep thinking about in the back of my mind, is that this could be another Rhyme, so give it a chance.
Sure.
But this next game definitely had me more intrigued, I think, and had a very more unique premise, and Gameplay wise, I got a lot more from going to the site and watching some extra videos than what was showed in the presentation for this, and that is Hollow Pawns developed I Am Dead, being published by Annapurna, also being developed by Richard Hogg. They want to let you know that this is from the creators of Hohokam and Wilmot's Warehouse. It's a game about exploring the afterlife.
This intrigued me, and I have to say, even before seeing any footage of the game itself, Annapurna, when I saw they were publishing it, that got me on board immediately. Just because, honestly,
they never miss.
They really don't. I mean, Sayonara Wild Hearts was my third favorite game of last year. It was an incredible game. I still play it constantly. There's nothing like it, and they tend to take on projects that you can't find any comparison for, because there really isn't anything like them.
It has this like really subtle like pull the rug from under you moment, because you're just going through this like nice tropical island, like the seaport, these bird creatures with selfie sticks, having a good time. You're approaching a museum as the narrator is like guiding you through the town. He goes, but there's something we should get out of the way first. I'm dead. And it's like, oh, okay. And then it kind of reminded me a little bit like Ghost Trick, the premise they're going for, like possessing items to interact with like the people there and trying to uncover this. They give a little bit more about the story here, so I'm curious what you think. So Morris Lupton is the recently deceased museum curator of the tiny island of Shelmerston, who is reunited with the ghost of his dog Sparky, only to discover that a disaster is about to destroy his beloved island. I'm sorry, that makes me think of a certain game that came out last year, The Outer Wilds.
Oh, of course.
preventing.
Yeah.
I was like, there better not be a 22-minute time limit.
No time limit.
Right.
Please, no time limit.
Not in a puzzle game, no.
Sorry. Game of the Year debate throwbacks there. Together, they must uncover Shelmerston's ancient mysteries, prevent the island's volcano from erupting, and save the place they call home. They have to unearth, the duo have to unearth scattered ghosts, and to find them, they must visit places they spent time in, dive inside the memories of those people who knew them best, and learn the stories of their lives. So that's kind of cool.
This could be interesting. Yeah.
I mean, this is starting now, hearing more of this is leading into what I expect out of an Annapurna game.
Exactly.
And it speaks to me a little bit more. I feel a little bit more reassured hearing this. To help with their mission, Morris uses his newfound power that allows him to peer inside objects and people to reveal their contents and memories like a supernatural X-ray.
I mean, that's honestly a great way to describe what I saw. And I was trying to think of like, how can I describe what it looks like when you go into somebody's apartment? Yeah.
I guess you're just trying to prevent this volcano from erupting by interacting with the people who knew you best. So it's you probably expect you're going to find out not about them, but about yourself. I'm assuming that's how to inform the player about the character development of the protagonist. Is that, who am I really? Oh, here you go. Learn through other people who I am, because that's kind of how history teaches people down the line, like how were these people like? You gotta go read a history book. You gotta like read these oral histories of people, or nowadays watch videos of stuff, and that's how you're informed. You don't go to the person and like, tell me about yourself. That's not like, you don't get the complete picture that way. You gotta go to other people, I feel like.
And it does seem like the kind of premise that's likely to try and tug at your heartstrings, which, I always like when a game makes me feel, and I I'm getting all emotional about it in the end. Not every game needs to have that, but Annapurna games tend to have that kind of pull. And so as you were describing that, I was like, okay, as you said, that sounds a little closer to what I expect from Annapurna. And it does seem like the kind of thing that, could make you feel something.
A ghost dog? Come on.
I mean, that alone. Yeah. I mean,
I had just slipped my mind that there was a companion and it was a dog. It's like, oh, okay, here. Yep. Yeah. They got you there.
Yeah. I think there was like a little painting and an urn for the dog.
Exactly.
When he says,
I didn't catch the urn, but the painting was him.
Uh-huh.
Oh, geez.
See, that's already that's gonna get me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always intrigued to see fantasy worlds, how the writers and the story creators go about having humans interact with like anamorphic characters and stuff like that, because they made them so like modern in this one. Like the selfie sticks are like, they're just having a good time. They're like millennials on an island having a good time, it feels like, the tourist. But this also says there are people who've been living there and you gotta get to know them. So I wonder if there's gonna be any kind of like will there be like not false memories, but people who maybe don't know you as well, and like you're getting like a false picture of yourself,
right?
Or a superficial. I wonder if they even go that direction with that, where maybe there's multiple endings, or you have like a bad ending, like you talked to the wrong people, you really didn't have many friends and stuff, like according to yourself, and you were just this really shallow person, didn't really do much and stuff. They loved your dog more than you, so that's why the dog got the urn, and you just got a photo of yourself up there.
Right.
Everybody loved that dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there are a few different approaches they could take with this, but I like that idea of it being more of a subjective, based on kind of who you choose to talk to and maybe your lines of questioning and how you choose to approach these different people. It does seem like the kind of game that wouldn't have one linear result every time. Not that I think there's anything wrong with linear games, but this does seem to be the kind of game that would benefit from having that kind of variable approach.
For sure. I see this game, and to me it screams replayability. You're probably going to need to replay this to get different outcomes, and I assume that like fail states won't necessarily be like game over so much as like you just get a different conclusion, because they'll probably let you keep going and stuff rather than telling you this is straight up game over. They'll probably be like, I imagine like there'll be like deadlines because they got the ticking clock of the volcano. If you don't do this event by this, you don't trigger that, so you don't actually get to see this happen. You see this unfold instead. So for this game though, I would like to say this. I really hope it's either a short enough game that's easy to replay and not a chore, or they give you points where you could go back to and maybe make a different decision. If it's like a more fleshed out narrative that takes like maybe more than a few hours to complete.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Great title.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that logo design is really good. Like the little island.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Link's
really
Awakening.
good.
I am dead.
Yeah. It definitely just kind of like makes a name for itself right out at the front there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that one. Next up was so it's called B.ARK. B.ARK.
Right.
It stands for Bio Interstellar Arc. This is developed by California's TikTok Games. Team B.ARK reporting for duty. Pugs, cats, bears, and bunnies are saving the solar system in a space-exploring adventure. Pilot powerful yet adorable ships as you team up against a wave of revenge-seeking underwater animal life.
I love this concept.
Is this not a shmup? Is this game...
So, yes. Navigate the... So, the 4 different characters have unique playstyles, it seems, according to this. So, you create unique attack strategies with your crew, upgradable ships. It sounds like there might be like different paths through the solar system you could take, but it's a side-scroller shoot 'em up. That's like the basic premise. But it's up to 4 players on the screen at the time you saw.
Yeah,
and
it's just funny. It's like first off described as an adventure. I'm like, I'm
yeah.
So if I never watched this trailer and I'm listening to this podcast, I think I'm playing a Star Fox game.
Right.
You know
yeah,
what I
know.
It does sound like that.
That's why I was reading this way. I wanted to see how you would react to this.
It's like an adventure game where I get to be a pug. Heck yeah.
Yeah, and your face just said it all for those of you who aren't watching. I was just like confused, like, isn't this a shooter? Shoot 'em up? What?
Yeah.
They gave some descriptions of the 4 playable characters.
Okay.
Play as Barker, a lovable and friendly pug who heals his friends and turns his enemies into frenemies.
That's fantastic.
Felicity, a fierce leader whose cat rage can really boost her firepower.
Okay.
I don't know if I like that one. Walker, the bear with a protective spirit, and Marv, the speedy rabbit that can zip around in his enemies with ease. It says zip around in his enemies. It doesn't say zip around his enemies.
Maybe it's well.
I don't know if it's a typo. I literally copy-pasted this line.
All right.
You think he kind of just goes inside of the
I think
ships?
I think it's like he gets the ships and then like does something with it.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's what it is. Choose your fighters wisely, as different tactics can help your odds against the evils that await. They're really selling the strategy angle.
Yeah.
They really want you to believe that your composition's going to matter.
Yeah, I got a question. Is shoot 'em up an old phrase? Do people not even say that anymore?
I don't think many people in marketing speak use it as much anymore.
Very
and I
true.
think it
You're right.
also, I hate to say this, I think it might even be viewed as a dirty word in terms of like sales potential.
True.
So something when Nintendo
Right.
looked at this, they're probably like, hey, we got a few few critiques for you, a few suggestions. Let's cross out the word shoot 'em up and let's reword it to be this.
Adventure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about all these cool characters you got. Let's talk about strategy and tactical stuff, and that will go over way better. People like that. Don't say shoot 'em up. Let's avoid that.
See, what's funny is like assuming you're correct there. All those edits actually make me less interested, and I liked what I saw of this. But you tell me. Horizontal shoot 'em up with animals fighting evil undersea creatures. I mean, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You don't need to sell me on the strategy angle or on the adventure angle. Shmups are a dying genre anyway, if not mostly dead. And to get a new one where you get to play as a pug, I mean,
with 3 friends.
With 3 friends, that sells
co-op.
me. But
Yeah.
of course, we're core audience people. That's not necessarily what's going to apply to the random person browsing through the eShop and looking for something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. As I said, I think it was written in this very specific language in mind. The one other thing besides each having unique abilities, you can combine your character's special attacks with the other pilots for hyper combos. So,
Okay.
there's going to be over 20 plus levels. So they give you a ballpark of, they are calling them levels. So that's more in line with the shoot 'em up. Yeah, you're going through a level.
Yeah.
It is releasing first on Switch as a timed console exclusive later this year. This is one that I absolutely understand the aesthetic they went for. And I think it fits. But for some reason, these other games, they've been this like more colorful palette here for the last few games we picked, that we talked about. And this one, for some reason, it felt a little off to me for some reason. I don't want to say I don't want to be mean and say it looked like a Flash game, but like there's
It kind of had that Newgroundsy look to it.
Okay, indie games are indie games, and they can be as ambitious as they want. They can be as simple as they want. But for some reason, there's this like switch in my mind where if it looks too much like not Newgrounds, but like a Flash game or a mobile game, there's a way to fool me, and I love it when I think I'm getting so much more, and it feels like so much effort, and there clearly was effort put into this. I just don't know what's wrong with me. I need help figuring out why I see this, and I'm just it's got cat. I mean, you're talking about the pug, but the cat's all speaking to me.
Use your cat rage.
And yeah. Maybe it's the cat rage. Maybe I read cat rage and now I'm just raging on this.
No, it's fine. I know there's blowback from using the phrase "this looks like a Flash game." In this particular case, Damiani, I don't think it's unfair.
I would agree.
With that what I would say is some things look flat, and I think
that's what I was looking for. I wanted to say it I was really gonna say flat before I got tied up with my thoughts.
Sure.
And that's a more kind way I think of putting it than it looks like a flash. Flash shaking for me is shorthand for it's just flat. I could use a little bit more detail in the images they're putting on the screen. Just a little bit more, I think, to make it pop a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, no, I totally see where you're coming from. I mean, that said, I don't want to downplay too much how visually what it looks like either, because I do think it definitely has its own identity, separate from anything else we saw in Indie World today. It definitely stood out in its own way for both good and bad, I would say. But in general, I do like the look of the game, but I also see what you're saying.
I wonder, because it is a shoot 'em up, not hiding this fact, with so much going on screen in some parts, I wonder if they opted for this to avoid the taxation from so many things going on screen that can result in slow down, performance issues. Which case, I absolutely value that. That is the right call to make.
Yeah,
and it still looks very good for sacrificing a little bit to gain that benefit, and I will always go side with that. So there you go. I found some positive there. I just was feeling bad about being negative about the visuals for this one. I was like, why do I really need to get hooked up on this? Just let it go. Just let it go. Next up, speaking of visuals, Cyanide and Happiness,
right.
Freakpocalypse Part 1. Developed by Explosum, published by Serenity Forge. This is a game based in the universe that is a webcomic written and illustrated by Rob Den Bleicher. Hope I got that right. Chris Wilson, Dave McElfatrick. Is that how you pronounce it?
Okay.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm. I don't know if you're a fan.
Yeah.
And formerly Matt Melvin. I guess they're not looking to team anymore. Published on their website, explosism.net. first created in 2005. I had no idea about any of this.
Oh, the
Okay.
webcomic?
I didn't know it was a webcomic.
Yeah, I didn't
I've just
either.
been out of
Okay.
the loop. I felt so bad. I thought this was maybe like a follow up to a previous game, and that was it. But then when I looked at the stick figures and I heard webcomic, I was like, okay, this obviously had roots in something more than just a game.
I feel like
Right.
I feel like they've been the Cyanide and Happiness. If you don't even know the title, I feel like you've seen those characters.
Probably at
Yeah.
conventions, the stick figure
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
And like they're like hyper violent or something, like or not violent, but like implying violence. Like one of them, I looked up an image said like I'm hardcore, and it was like someone trying to like cut their own head off with an axe or something. And then one like axe, like it was typical like that type of direction. I was like, okay, I've definitely seen this somewhere before. Probably I just didn't sink in.
Yeah, there was a battle royale for Cyanide and Happiness even.
Oh, was there?
It was weird.
Oh, wow. I bet it was.
There you go.
It was a while ago. I think it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was definitely when I first saw this trailer this morning. It was one of those things where I was like, "Oh, this looks vaguely familiar. Where have I seen this before?" And then I saw Cyanide and Happiness, and while I'm not a fan personally, as you guys have been saying, I'd seen enough of it just by osmosis, by geek convention
Gotcha.
osmosis,
Yeah.
that I was like, "Oh, okay, I recognize
Somebody's
these
wearing
designs."
that shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm probably
yeah.
I'm probably just so old and been through so many conventions. It's just like
Yeah,
become mush. But you know, if you had that like time travel machine, be like, no, Damiani, you saw it here, you saw it here, you
Yeah.
don't remember this? Come on, man, like disrespect, man, come on.
Who is this person who knows your life that well?
Oh, I bet like probably like Simmons.
Okay,
My
I
roommate
bet so,
Simmons.
yes.
He'd probably be like, dude. He's like, dude, we see this all the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Because he has a great memory. So it's like, oh, okay. I think I have like a terrible short term memory lately. Anyway, I just felt bad. I felt like I was like getting my nerd card revoked because I didn't know what this was. Like, yee.
It's not that huge.
I mean, it's not
then,
really.
But then I saw, I was like,
Yeah.
not a knock against it. It's like it's got a following, but it's not like I thought it was like an old phenomenon that's since passed and that they're still trying to recapitalize on. And I was like, ooh, I feel bad for not knowing that, but that's not the case. Here is what they have written about this game. It's part 1, so there's gonna be multiple parts taking place in the Cyanide and Happiness universe. You play as a weird, unpopular, ginger-headed orphan, and it's time to save the world.
you can stop there, right there. Like that stuff's not funny to me anymore.
I know.
Yeah, I agree.
This seems dated.
It
Yes.
does.
This
doesn't
is
it?
mid 2000s. This is like, This
Yeah.
is like the Newgrounds era. This is
Yep.
like E-Bomb's world. Like,
was
you
funny
the man
'cause
now dog.
Everything
like,
you were
era.
saying about the last game, I was about like I couldn't say it, but I was like, so actually that's how I felt about this one because it did
Yep.
evoke that era, maybe a little bit too much.
Homestar Runner.
Uh-huh.
This is like GameFAQs message boards. This
Yeah.
is the old school days. Okay, so as Coop Go Away Weirdo McCarthy, all you want to do is make the world a better place.
Sorry, that's my name.
I think.
Coop
Yeah,
Go Away Weirdo McCarthy.
Okay. All right.
I know what I feel like I know what I'm in for.
Can you
with
survive
this.
one more line?
Give me one more.
The
and then I'm
trouble
going to eject.
is, nobody likes you. School sucks. You can't find a prom date. Everybody bullies you, including your teachers. So, and your attempts to help only make things worse.
Take me. I'm ejecting. I'm ejecting before we even get to the apocalypse part.
There. Launches first on Nintendo Switch as a time console exclusive this summer.
Yeah.
I don't even know what this gameplay is, though. I'm guessing it's like you go and talk to. It's like a
Very
visual
adventure
novel,
game-ish,
adventure,
visual- yeah.
like mystic.
Yeah, it definitely looks like you
mist-like.
have an inventory, right? You know, like an adventure game where you're picking up things that, like, oh, I need this.
Yeah,
thing.
because I didn't know if
Yeah.
it was maybe gonna be like South Park: Stick of Truth style, like emulates like the source material. Maybe some like I thought maybe it's an RPG, but no, not like that.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't want to not to poo-poo any efforts by these devs to make this game. There's nothing here that I feel is for me. As you were,
That's
I
fair
just
to say.
don't feel like I'm
Yeah.
the intended audience for this. I cannot muster up any excitement for this. Yeah.
That's what I kind of like about this presentation, though, because this was introduced by a cartoon character talking to a fake newscaster.
Oh yeah,
Right.
To me, that says, hey, if you don't think this is fun, you're not going to like the game. If you're cracking up right now, you're probably going to like our game.
True.
And so like, I think it's
Yeah.
an actually interesting way to introduce this video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether or not we personally find it interesting, that's what's great about Indie World is that you get so many different foci in terms of different audiences and age groups and vibes, and this may not be for us, but there are people for whom that is going to be exactly what they want out there watching Indie World. So
Yeah, I forgot about that opening presentation bit they did.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like an early 2010 like YouTube.
Exactly,
skit,
which I
basically,
felt
yeah.
similarly was I was like,
I think
it's
that's
kinda
what they were
dated.
going for,
Yeah.
though. I think
Maybe
they
they
know
were-
their
yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
they
I
were
think they
just
probably
doing
did.
that on purpose.
Yeah.
It was like part like trying to be like Space Ghost-esque, like with the
Right.
but like a little more trying to be more edgy comedy with the the VO or sorry the dialogue is like yeah, okay, I see what they're going for. And 10 years ago, maybe this would have hit the mark for a broader audience.
Exactly.
But today, it's following. And
Yeah.
This next game though,
Ooh.
this game I was very interested in. It looked like it's called Summer in Mara.
Oh, cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I'm calling it Moana the game
Uh-huh.
because it's about a young girl on an island who's trying to save her island, and by going out to other islands and crafting, gathering, and farming to help rebuild and improve her home. I was like, okay, Moana, she just wants to go out and explore because she's being kept on her island, doesn't find her place there, but it's like, at the end of the day, she still wants to have like her home change and stuff. It's just like, yeah, I like this theme. It's a good theme. But also Wind Waker vibes,
Right.
in terms of like islands, exploring islands. It's like, hey, I saw some underwater exploring here. Take that, Wind Waker. Where was my underwater game playing Wind Waker? I'm
They couldn't finish it.
Still salty
I know.
on
Couldn't
me this
finish it.
many years later.
Saltiani.
No time.
This is developed by Chibig. Mixes farming, crafting, and exploring mechanics in a tropical archipelago with a colorful style and strong narrative. The single-player experience will be in a calm, relaxing environment with a handmade look and an exciting narrative. They're really selling this narrative.
Which is funny
Right.
because I didn't get that impression from the
I
trailer.
know.
I didn't either.
I really didn't get that either. But reading this, I'm just reading it as is because they really want you to be excited about the narrative.
Yeah, it's interesting.
The main character is called Koa, a little adventure girl who has to explore the world and discover the secrets that the ocean keeps. So, it's an open ocean with over 20 islands to explore.
Okay.
So I kind of like that, which makes me think I can go to multiple islands for my first island.
Sure.
I like that.
Yeah.
That is the right way to do it. Customize your own island with buildings, crops, and farm animals. Over 25 characters to meet and befriend, and more than 300 quests. That's a lot of quests.
Yeah.
It's too many quests.
That's too many.
Xenoblade Chronicles
Yeah.
had about 300 quests.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like 85% of them were like
Probably more than
super
that.
fetch
Yeah.
questy, like
Yeah.
basic.
So that's my
ass, yeah.
worry is that it is
Yeah.
a lot of, hey, I need to improve this. I need 4 more of this type of plant.
Yeah.
It's only found on that other
back in the
island.
ocean.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you later. They, as with every game nowadays, I don't even know why they mention this anymore. Day and night cycle that has an effect on the world with climatic effects.
So I do want to say that
Climactic effects. Okay.
this was a part of the trailer even. They were bragging about this day-night cycle, which is the thing that you would brag about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was impactful to me, Damiani, because of
Okay.
the shot they chose, which is the character looking at her town. And the town looks good. It looks like a town that I would want to explore. Just interesting looking buildings, and when they light up at night, it looks like doors that I want to walk through.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it shouldn't be a feature. It shouldn't be a bullet point anymore. But visually, I felt it had an impact when they said day-night cycle, and I had a frame of reference for what this adventure might be like.
Yeah, I wanted really badly to be into this more than I was. Like I was super into the whole vibe, the whole look of it, just the whole idea of it until they got to farming and crafting and raise your town. I am not into games like that. And it's not just this game, like I'm not into like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing, and that's just not what speaks to me personally. I wanted so badly for this to be like a Wind Waker light, in this cool Moana-esque universe that had some combat mechanics, and I wanted that so much, and then it's like, no, you're farming and you're crafting and you're building, which, again, no problem with that. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, there's definitely an audience for this, and it looks like hopefully that's appealing to a lot of people who are into this type of game. But I'm the same with you. I would even like the game My Time at Portia, which had a heavy emphasis on gathering and crafting as well. That game looks so intriguing to me from a visual aspect, and it's teased. It has more to it. It's like more of an MMO style-ish game, but the heavy emphasis on like the crafting I saw initially just like it's kind of off-putting to me.
And I played a bit of it, and it definitely translated that way. It just felt the focus wasn't where I wanted it to be.
And it's always a concern of mine. Yeah, I want to get immersed in these worlds, but it's really hard for me when the dominant mechanic is resource management, essentially. Like, I need more to the game than that, but I hope I hope people find an interest with this game because everything else about it seemed pretty nice. And again, back to the day-night thing, it's like, and they're proud of it, let them say something about it. Like that town, they're like, oh, wait till the end game when you see that final town when it's all built out and you see the sunset on the ocean and then you see the lights come up. Oh, you're gonna be ashamed of what you just said. Show me another game that does it to this extent.
You can show it in a trailer without saying day-night cycle. You know what I mean? Like they really could have done something differently there.
It's like. It feels like the cute thing. Like someone's trying really hard, but it's also a little bit new to the thing. It's like, oh, be sure to mention that. Be sure that they love that. They want to hear that. Like everyone's done this already. No, you got to put it on there, man. It means we've made it. We got to have it on there. Oh, it feels so bad, but happy for them at the same time that this game will be coming out as a timed console exclusive later this spring. So it's not long. Yeah. Assuming no delays.
Especially for a game called Summer of Mara. It's one of the ones that's not coming out in summer.
Yeah. We'll see. This next one was probably the game I was the most least interested in, or tied for the most least interested game I saw at this Indie World Showcase, and that would be Quantum League. I'm sorry to preface that with a leading statement, but this is a game that, because I'm into sci-fi stuff.
Okay.
I love time travel, time manipulation, anything with, messing around with time mechanics. And this is a online first-person shooter where, as a quantum athlete, you compete in these specially designed arenas where agility, speed, and skill aren't enough to win. No. You gotta have the ability to tactically play with your past and future selves to win the match. Combines muscle with brain in a unique, exciting way to bring online competitive shooters to a new level.
Wait, did they say it combines muscle with brain?
Yeah, that's literally what they said.
The brain is a
combine.
Combine them.
Push them together.
Super muscle.
Yep.
Okay.
But none of this was really in the trailer except for you saw 3 players at first in a very tiny arena that looked like, kindly putting it as an Overwatch knockoff looking aesthetic. It wasn't even that.
I'd even put it a little closer to Fortnite.
Okay, Fortnite maybe.
Yeah.
But it's not as blocky as Fortnite.
It's like a hybrid. It's like a weird knockoff of both those if they had,
And the logo design also made me feel like they were going for a little bit of Rocket League.
Yeah. It was trying to piecemeal different aesthetic things, different things that speak to that audience. And they're like, we got this great hook. In an online first-person shooter, somehow in real time, you're going to be able to make a future and past version of yourself play at the same time. And I was like, wait, how does this work? And they just show your other selves moving around and stuff, but they do not sell the concept at all, in my opinion. It failed miserably. I was like, you need to show me this.
Yeah.
Take a second and show me a menu or how in real time and online, unless you're doing turn-based. How are you doing this? I was so confused. I was so lost.
That's fair. You got 30 seconds for a trailer.
I know.
Don't show your characters. Just show that. Don't show your arenas. Just show that one thing. Show the one reason that people would be interested in your game. For sure.
Yeah. I'm going to come up with a better trailer real quick.
Oh, okay.
You're showing the 1v1 thing. You think it's 1v1 match and you're showing the person getting the kill. And it's ooh, that was a good kill. And then from behind, you see the same character come from behind and shoot like Matrix style, like Trinity, dodge this, the agent. It's whoa, where did you come from? And then person behind them gets them. It's what the hell is going on here?
Yeah,
you're just raising more questions for me.
But it's more intriguing. It's
it is more intriguing.
And then you say I'm they can even say a one-liner "Hi from the past, baby" or something. I know. I'm not the one writing the lines.
They need to have you write this game.
I'm not writing it. I'm just giving you the concept here.
Hi from the past, baby.
That is the best of action movie, badass action movie one-liners. Hi from the past, baby. Oh, that's
I love that.
Me too. I might have to use that. I'll give you credit, but I'll use that at some point.
Please leave me alone.
So good. I honestly that was just hearing that and you coming up with that was way more fun than the trailer made this game look. I'm sad to say. Now I will say I'm coming at this from a biased perspective. You lost me in the first 4 words, which was online first person shooter. Just not me. I don't care. I don't play I don't play first-person shooters generally. If I do, it's because I want to, blast through Doom or some Modern Warfare campaign on the easiest difficulty and turn my brain off.
Okay.
But, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm not a competitive first-person shooter
I completely
guy.
understand. I'm very much the same way.
Yeah.
I've tried out a lot of these games. I obviously played Fortnite. Obviously played Apex Legends. Obviously played, more recent Call of Duty stuff online. And but I've never touched Overwatch, though. That's the one I've never actually played, which is kind of interesting. But on premise alone, I don't care how much of a miserable failure this ends up being. I just want to see, they at least got me to want to see one match.
Okay.
I just want to see how this works.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that concept does kind of sell itself. I still think you could have made a better trailer for the purpose of getting more people hyped on it. Mine's just curiosity. I just have curiosity. I don't have no excitement over this. It's just I just want to see it, have my curiosity satisfied, and then I'm gonna probably walk away because it's probably gonna be a disappointment. I'm just gonna be honest with myself. It's probably not gonna be as cool as I think it is.
I mean, it's definitely the kind of concept that on paper seems like it could garner its own following. Like there's nothing else out there that seems like it's quite like it. I mean, there's stuff like Super Hot where I think that the whole thing is where other things only move when you move.
Yeah, we know Super Hot.
Yeah, so I haven't played a little bit of it, but that is pretty singular as well. But this is even different from that. And I think if they were to explain the concept better, in terms of relating it to the viewers, and if it turns out to be a good game, this could garner its own little following. But based on what I saw today, I kind of hear you. I don't think this looks like it's going to turn out to be anything spectacular. It just doesn't.
Yeah, there's just too many fears I have about how this is going to go wrong that are overwhelming any ideas of how this is going to go right. I can't. My mind can't reconcile that right now, so that's why I so desperately need them to show me this to give me a little bit more to go on. I just can't go on in good faith with this concept.
But if they do a good job of it, though, I was kind of I was trying to think my way through it while I was watching the trailer, thinking, okay, I could see the right kind of player getting super into formulating strategies based on what your present self did, and then that's going to support what you're going to do in your next life, and it could be really cool if done properly. But I don't think it just doesn't feel like it's going to come together in that way.
I'll be happy to be proved wrong.
Same.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah,
for sure. This next game comes from a name you might have heard of before. Swery. White Owls. It's called The Good Life. And if White Owls and Swery mean absolutely nothing to you, they recently released a game called The Missing. Big hit here at Easy Allies. Very good game. This game, though, you're playing as Naomi, a journalist from New York who moves to a backwoods British town called Rainy Woods in order to pay off her massive debt. The only way for her to escape from debt, hell, is to take pictures of happenings in the town and report on them. Of course, the happiest town in the world is not your average town. The inhabitants of the happiest town in the world are some of the most bizarre people you'll ever come across. You'll live alongside them as you solve mysteries and experience a hearty helping of craziness.
All right.
How'd they get through all of that without saying you get to turn into a cat?
And then literally in my own notes, that's what they put.
Yeah.
I literally had to put after that, also awesome, you play as a cat dog and get to ride a sheep.
Yeah.
I was like, where's
those
this?
Those are the most
the trailer
interesting.
The trailer absolutely focused on the right thing.
Yes.
This is what's written on the page for them.
Such your priority
So
straight here.
this is an example of good trailer,
Yeah.
getting you hooked on it, versus this is what the marketing team wanted to write and thinks is what people want to read.
Right.
And it's like, I get it. There is a pedigree. You want to know about the premise. You expect it to be a little bit different and intriguing, but playing as a cat and dog and riding a sheep, that's your primary mode of transportation in the game besides walking, is riding a sheep.
Yeah.
Right.
This was my favorite game of the presentation.
Oh, yeah.
I think this game is shaping together very well.
Same.
I loved that trailer. Just, the idea of a living town and at night it's different, and I can walk up a wall as a cat. Like that's just appealing.
Yeah,
in so many ways.
And I will give the marketing copy credit for this. What the way they describe the setting and kind of what's going on reminded me more than anything of Hot Fuzz, which I'm not saying it's gonna.
About to say that.
Which is
No
a really
way.
good thing.
Yes.
Not that I think it's going to turn out to be anywhere near as funny.
I'm so
as Hot
glad
Fuzz.
you're on the same way. Like I was really about to say, this is Hot Fuzz. Like nice little town.
Right.
Timothy Dalton's got some strange shit going down here. Everyone's no.
I like that idea though, and I like the idea of infiltrating and kind of getting. We don't know how dark it's going to be versus funny or whatever, but I like the idea of infiltrating this idyllic, happiest town on earth and seeing the dark underpinnings of what makes it tick. Mm-hmm. And I think between the presentation, as you were saying, and just the overall vibe of the setting and why you're doing this, why she's moving to this town, and this seems like there's got some real potential here, for sure. And of course, you get to turn into a cat and a dog and ride a sheep. I mean,
Yeah, who can say no to that? I like the character designs though.
Same.
Yeah. Great. They're going to work on the Switch.
Yeah, very distinct. And like, of all the games we saw trying to be like unique and stand out, I felt like this almost did so effortlessly. Just like, and it wasn't going for a more like colorful palette. It was still kind of like that. I don't want to say fantasy, but like it's I'm forgetting the word for the style here. It's a little bit more realistic, but like it's also not abstract. Like the proportion stuff, like exaggerated or something.
Exaggerated.
It's like, it's exaggerated.
Sure.
And everything else here was going for like colorful, animated. That's like the way everything's going. I feel, especially with indie games. This like, no, we're gonna do our own thing. We like this look. It's pretty good. We can sell it. What was the Wallace and Gromit? Kind of like not quite that claymation, but like it's in that like going in that direction.
It's an atypical visual style for sure. Yeah.
I need to go take an art class and learn some vocabulary. Sure. Not a joke. But yeah, I'm glad that it was your favorite game.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, sorry.
No release date still.
Launching later this year. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. 2020.
Yeah.
This was a surprise, this next game. But if you actually followed this company, you would have known about this game for over a year. Wow. The Last Campfire, developed by Hello Games.
That was
with Sean Murray on camera in a Nintendo video. I was like, oh, wow. And Stephen Burgess was also there as well, introducing this game to a Nintendo audience. Actually, this game has been confirmed, I believe, to be coming to PS4, Switch, Xbox, maybe PC, since December of 2018.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's actually been around for that long. It is an adventure and a story of a lost ember trapped in a puzzling place, searching for meaning and a way home. And they kept emphasizing this really personal tale, whereas No Man's Sky was this big ambition they had. This is a more intimate, smaller scale. They even is called a Hello Games short in the trailer.
Which is, I found that interesting. I have to say, this sold me pretty quickly. Despite it being Hello Games, of course, No Man's Sky has significantly improved from what it used to be. But I would still say Hello Games is still kind of not really quite sure what you're getting with them yet. But this trailer sold me fast, and it sold my wife fast. She was watching Indie World with me, and by the end of this, she was a little emotional, and I was I was close to it there. I was like almost where she was. I'm like, oh, I've watched 2 minutes of this, and I already feel something for these characters, and The only thing that makes me a little uncertain is that it doesn't really show you, the trailer at least, doesn't show you too much of what the actual gameplay loop might be, which that doesn't make me worried, it just makes me not sure. But vibe-wise and atmospherically, this trailer sold me as one of my favorite things in Indie World this morning.
I definitely agree. I feel like I might have a decent understanding of where they're probably going to go with the gameplay loop. I mean, I do probably need to see a little bit more before I want to say I definitely know. But I think it nailed so well, as you said, that emotional pull, seeing that ability to kind of like revive, like that stone, like petrified companion of theirs, someone they knew or like someone who obviously like they cared for, bringing him back to life, and then juxtaposing that immediately against one of them that's like dead. Like they're so dead and far gone that they're a skeleton, but they still put the hand down, and like it conveys that, one, they're not sure about how far their power extends, but also confirming, hey, no matter how cool this power you have, there are limits. So like I think it's also implying that like maybe there's like potentially a time limit, or also just the simple fact that like expect some like heartstrings being tugged at, where you're just gonna see some things that can save. That's just reality and stuff. And I like that. I like when trailers can do that with like no words, just images, and do it in such a simple, short, condensed way. Though that I think this is a really well done trailer for getting this across and selling this game.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what Hello Games can produce in a different context. Like, as you said, a Hello Games short. We really only have one game to judge them by thus far, and that's No Man's Sky, and that is its own weird, bizarre story. So it'll be nice to have
Joe
something.
Danger.
Oh, right. I forgot about, of course, Joe
Right.
Danger. Yeah.
Which is so completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have two games to judge them
easy
by.
to forget
I completely
that
forgot
one.
about
Yeah,
Joe
I
Danger.
forgot
Yeah.
it too.
So it'll be nice to have something else that's even like another completely different type of thing to kind of give more context to this company, because it doesn't really have a whole lot of context yet for itself.
Yeah, I think labeling it as a short is very smart. I love that, and I want to encourage any developer to go for it.
Absolutely.
To do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, don't pad it out. Don't worry about making your game super long. If this is what the story you want to tell is, just make it
I
work.
appreciate
Completely
that
agree.
so much.
Yeah.
Just like getting to like not padding it, not putting filler, just stop worrying about the expectations about hour length, like meeting these weird nebulous like metrics that like the internet says you have to hit and stuff, or else you're gonna get a bad review score or something like that. And yeah, like that conveys so much just by putting like shorts by it. I immediately have this assumption, and I expect it's going to be met, and it just puts the expectations in the right place. I think they handled this very well, and it's to be expected after what they went through with No Man's Sky. Like, they obviously learned some lessons, so that's great. That's the good thing about people who come out from that type of stuff. And also, as I said, No Man's Sky has turned around. They didn't give up
significantly.
on that.
Yeah.
His fans. It has a huge fan
It
base.
is. Yeah. I think it's a testament, and I think someone wants to keep on making games. If it's within your power, that's something you need to do on a project. Don't abandon it. Try your best to remedy it. This next one also kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm just gonna say its title: PixelJunk Eden 2.
Oh,
This was a cool surprise.
very out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and like once upon a time, I thought this would have been like made a lot of people excited. Be like, "Ooh, PixelJunk! This is a big deal."
Yeah.
And I feel bad saying that. I feel like it kind of just like felt like average, like it's unveiling. Maybe I'm missing something here.
I think maybe its unveiling was too abstract. Is what
Okay.
it was. Like, because I think what I saw looked really interesting to me, and I kind of like that synesthetic, that kind of like wacky visuals with cool music, kind of like that kind of chill out type of game. But I didn't get a really good feel for what you were actually doing in it throughout the whole trailer. Even though I was like, oh wow, pretty visuals, this is cool. But I was a little too abstract, I think, for an initial reveal.
What is the very first one of these games? Is it just PixelJunk Eden was the original, or was there something else before that?
I think Monsters came first.
Did it? Because the ones I know, the ones I played of the PixelJunk series were the shooter games, which I love.
Yeah.
I would love to have those on
I played one of them
yeah.
at game trailers. I had a blast
They're
with it.
great games.
And I don't know why none of the others really caught on for whatever reason. And for some reason, I always confuse this game with like others like Flower.
Right.
Like and Rez. Like I know who made those games. It's not the same, but
Yeah.
I always like have that expectation of like there's a good cult following behind this game. It is like a thing that should be celebrated. And I don't know what it was. It just didn't feel like as big of a deal, this announcement.
No, I agree.
For something that should have been like a surprise, like, whoa, this exists? And like Q Games is very good. I was like, they've made some really great games and they have a good pedigree. So I trust this will end up being very good. It's just, I think you're just right, Ash. I think its abstract presentation just didn't sink in with me, and I couldn't formulate a very positive opinion because of that.
Well, I think this also is coming at a time where the PixelJunk name is kind of, I don't want to say past its prime, because the game's never really got worse in quality, really, but you don't hear about PixelJunk as much as you used to. There was a time where PixelJunk was synonymous with like, oh, this is a really good PlayStation indie series. Like, I need to keep an eye on this as a PlayStation fan. Because at least for me, they were always more associated with PlayStation platforms back in their heyday, back in the PixelJunk games' heyday. Now you don't really hear about PixelJunk as much anymore, and I think that maybe just people don't need to be reminded, maybe don't care as much anymore, just because there hasn't been that many of them.
It's weird. I think it's a way different market. I think PixelJunk Shooter launching today has a hard time grabbing attention.
Sure.
I think they were on top of something at a time that, it's hard to stay on top of. So I played a lot of PixelJunk Eden, And what's weird is it's not at all like the sequel. It was more like levels. You were in environments, but the gameplay itself is what's there. It's a lot of like a Bionic Commando. You have a grappling hook, and you just move around by using your grappling hook and sticking it to things. And it's about your momentum and your movement. The sequel looks like those old music visualizers. It looks trippy. It looks like it's not at all about being in environments, but more about this kind of visual experience. And it's weird. It's a sequel in a completely different direction, however, maintaining its core gameplay in a way.
I mean, and I do love that kind of experience. I like that kind of chill out. I don't want to call it a genre, but that type of game where it is about the visual and the musical experience coming together, especially if it's anchored around a really compelling, simple gameplay loop. But again, I just don't think that trailer did enough to really explain what is the game part of this. Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, it sounds cool. But what is the game part of this? What am I doing?
And you know what? I would say the trailer seemed unconcerned about it.
Yeah, that's true as well.
The trailer's like, you don't need to know what this game is like. It's like, yeah, we do. That's important. Yeah. Like, no, you're going to love this music, dude. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you brought up, Ash, because it makes me think about whether or not how much a factor of PlayStation's marketing from its heyday.
I was thinking about that just now.
It was always constantly pushed out as one of like their big indie projects or exclusives. Like, hey, look what we got here, and it was always always put out there. So it was like always mentioned, and now
that's a good point.
It kind of like fell by the wayside. I also don't know if maybe the name is just like been used so much that it's become so common that like expectations are like, oh yeah, it's another PixelJunk game. Yeah, it'll be good or something.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, we're cool.
It has been attached to things that people didn't really, at least relatively didn't care about that in great numbers. Like I think it was PixelJunk 3 a.m., which is like a DJ, or 1 a.m., 4 a.m. I was like 1, 3, 4 a.m.
I was thinking about that number.
It's early in the morning.
4 a.m. is perfect.
And I think for the very narrow focus that it had in terms of the appeal, I think people really liked it. But it came and went so quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a bit, I think it's a different marketplace now. And as you said, how much of that was due to PlayStation's pushing it, because, believe it or not, you never know it from them today, but PlayStation used to really care about indie games and really push them hard and curate them well. They don't do it anymore, but they sure used to. And I wonder how much of PixelJunk becoming known among PlayStation fans in that time was due to PlayStation's own efforts.
Yeah, seems like it was. So
yeah.
There was.
Think of a game like Flow.
Yeah,
think of a game like Flow.
What I was trying to think of. Flow.
Big right now. And I can't imagine it. I can't imagine that time.
Yeah, because that was the one that predated Flower. It's like, what was the one before Flower? I played so much of it. Flow.
And it's the exact same thing. It was like a small exclusive that they were really willing to get behind, and there's just no way that a game like that would work today, I think.
Yeah.
They gave a few more details. I don't know if this is going to do anything for you.
We'll see.
So this might just be like common old stuff. Jump, spin, swing, and take out invading creatures to collect pollen and grow gardens back to full bloom.
Okay, so that's like the first game.
Yeah. Okay.
Along the way, you'll encounter a host of creatures and beautifully realized alien worlds to explore and liberate. Wallow in a feeling of synesthesia as the art and exquisite music from Bayon envelops your mind and soul, and you, your Grimp, and the delightful aesthetics of PixelJunk Eden become one.
You know what? It did help a little bit. That's some good language.
That was
it is some good.
That was
wallow is an interesting choice of
yes.
Wallow is a weird choice of word.
I love wallow in a feeling.
Because usually when I think of wallow, I think of it's a negative connotation, like wallowing in despair.
Oh yeah.
So that's a weird word to use.
Wallow
but
away.
Everything you said after wallow is everything I would want from a game like this. So
enjoy this wonderland alone or with a friend via local multiplayer.
I think Eden 1 had multiplayer.
I'm not familiar. I don't know. So I'll trust that it probably had it. And it's coming to Switch this summer.
Was that another console exclusive?
No. It just said it's coming to Switch, which means it's coming to other platforms as well.
Yeah.
This is definitely something I'll be keeping an eye on, though, for sure. It's on my radar.
No.
Yeah.
So, Ash, remember earlier you said with Quantum League, you had a little bit of a bias against like online shooters.
Right.
This next game is my bias.
I think I think we're gonna agree on this. Yeah.
Faeria.
This is that card one,
Developed,
right? Yeah.
Yes. This is the card game with the hexagonal grids and stuff. Yeah. You know what's coming.
Yeah.
Developed by it's either Apricam or Apricam Entertainment, published by Versus Evil. I wrote down a card game. Build exciting decks and shape the battlefield as you fight. Building exciting decks.
There's nothing exciting about building.
But this next part, though, raise mountains, build forest, fill lakes, or harness the sands of the deserts. That was like a bullet point on the site.
They're trying.
So like the map, I assume they're like these blank, like hexagonal grid things. I think when you play maybe an environment card of some kind, you determine the attributes of that space. Okay. I'm assuming this is what this means. I'm thinking of has not a card game at all. I am thinking of End of Eternity, Resonance of Fate. Okay. The Tri-Ace developed RPG from the 360 PS3 era, where you navigated the world map on these hexagonal grids, and you had to place pieces down that determine the attributes of that square, whether it be like an enemy square and whether or not like you had bonuses and stuff. It's like obviously more games have done stuff like that, but this is like what I was drawn to is like card game but cool map thing. Maybe I'll watch it. Enjoy 100+ hours of solo content, co-op missions, and puzzles. Even though I'm not a card game fan, I am very happy and love hearing about the trend of these card games getting like campaigns.
Yeah,
I agree.
Solo stuff that aren't like doesn't solely rely on the online competitive aspect of it.
100 hours is a lot.
That's a lot for a card
I do
game.
also, for card games, I like the idea of puzzles. There is a perfect play here. Figure it out. I actually think that's a good way to learn because you'll fail multiple times.
Any card games give you like a grade based on like the solution you came up with? Like, you took one too many cards to get here. Like, you got a B.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
I love that way of informing you. Like, hey, you can succeed doing this, but guess what? There's a better way. Try and figure it out. And when you get, like, we'll grade, less plays or playing like a better combination, something like that. I have to imagine. I love that as a tool to teach players to strive to be better. Journey through the Oversky and defeat devious world bosses. So there's gonna be world bosses, and is that like a common thing in card games? I'm a little unfamiliar.
No,
It sounds like just bosses to
I'll
me.
take them down. They probably have good decks.
Yeah.
Or even play enemy AI in draft mode.
Cool.
They have something called Pandora. It's a unique draft mode where your deck building skills are put to the ultimate test. So there's something like a challenge with deck building skills.
Maybe
So the way drafts work is we have one pool of cards. We split it two ways, I guess, if it's 1v1. So you have a pack of cards, I have a pack of cards. I pick the card that I want most out of that, and I send you my half. And then you pick the card you want out of your half, and you send me that half. And so you just kind of exchange. I like deck building games. They're fun.
Okay. Like they seem like they're making it like even that level of it's going to be a competition.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which is interesting because usually it's like the competition plays out when you play your decks, your hands against each other in like the actual card battle. So I'm curious how they make the deck building part like score based, or someone's going to judge, oh, your deck is way better than theirs. That was a good decision. It's gonna be there'll be a PvP and online stuff, so there'll be that as well. Available later this month, so coming out very shortly.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. All my respect to the devs. My brain turns off when you start talking to me about building your decks and playing cards, and I'm not a card game guy. Whether it's like physical card games like solitaire or whatever, or like online, or or digital card games, or
I can do those. I can do like poker.
Like I can play solitaire. I just don't like it
and I actually
necessarily.
I enjoy those types.
Oh, do you? Okay.
It's something. It's this weird hiccup with me where the more elaborate a card game gets, because I know video games exist, I'm lazy and just want it put in a video game, and I don't want to see the cards anymore. Like disguise the mechanics.
Right.
Like it's also the same thing with my problem with D&D. I know D&D is great. I know it's like the origin of like everything. It's super important, and you're a fool if you like don't acknowledge and respect that about it at the very least and see its appeal. But at the same time, I love being fooled about, hey, I'm playing an RPG, like I'm playing Final Fantasy. I'm not having to do any it's like streamlining it, it's quality of lifing it, it's doing all these things to dress it up and giving it like back in the day when you had like DOS operating command line stuff. They're like, here's a GUI. Oh my gosh, we got Windows. We are never going back to this other stuff. But like people are like, no, this is way more simpler. This is pure. Like I understand the argument, but for me, I'm on the side like you made things different and better for me. I could never go back to. I never even started here. well, how can you even imagine me going back to that? And like other people can do that, but it's just not for me.
I think I can enjoy like deck building. I've enjoyed deck building in the context of other game mechanics, like genre-wise. For example, I really love the Mega Man Battle Network games because those are deck building games. You do have to build a deck of battled ships, but then the game turns from, okay, here's your strategy part. That's over. Now here comes the video gamey part. You're controlling Mega Man in real time. You have to react to enemy attacks with your reaction time. It isn't just about building your deck. Well, it's not building. It's about that too, but you also have to execute on the action gaming side of it. And so I think I can enjoy good deck building in the context of another genre, but when it's just that's the whole game, this might turn out to be an awesome game. It's just not my thing. I just couldn't bear to. I just couldn't bring myself to really care about this as much. But I hope that the people who would love this really end up liking it.
Yeah, as you said, they're nailing variety.
Yeah,
they got
absolutely.
They're hitting another category right there, which is cool.
For sure. Card game I played was Kingdom Hearts.
And that was the only Kingdom Hearts game that I didn't really
Chain
enjoy.
Of Memories.
I didn't enjoy it very much because
I bailed on that one so hard.
And it's so like as soon as I realized of course I played for it just for the story, but like when I realized that just swinging Sora's Keyblade was playing a card, I'm like, no, I don't like this.
I hated that.
Where's my Kingdom Hearts?
It was the most painful experience in a Kingdom Hearts game, and there's some painful ones in that.
Right.
And then it's my greatest shame. Baiting Kaitos just didn't give those games. Like,
I didn't play it. I heard really good things.
There's so much praise for
But you're already in an RPG. You don't need that extra level of abstraction. I get that.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
I really get it.
All right. Our final game before they did a little sizzle reel montage was Eldest Souls. This game has no shame.
Right.
And they're not masking the fact of what they're going for here. Developed by Fallen Flag Studios and published by United Label, set in a grim, dark fantasy world, Eldest Souls innovates boss rush gameplay with a high level of combat customization. So that's the hook they're going for. So they're saying that you really need to pay attention to the skills. By beating bosses, you get skills and a wide array of skills that you can like unlock through other means, like currencies, stuff like that. Selecting your loadout will be very important to how successful you are against each monster. So they're going to want you to observe the patterns, observe his abilities, and do the tried and true matter of like, oh, equip like I should put a little bit more, like I should put a fire vulnerability up, something to like that'll work on it better, some. Obviously that's simplifying it, but along those lines essentially, and that's what they're going for. And then like pixel art, like it's like pixel art. They even say it's Souls-like. We're not beating around a bush. We're going for that Souls-y feel. So. And they say every boss encounter is going to be very unique and very challenging. So, like, this is the game. So, expect to, like, lose a lot. So, is that... I don't know. Like, I feel like... that's almost not enough. Even if they do this very well, I almost am like, this isn't enough anymore.
Yeah, it did. It felt like it had a bit of a... I don't know. Like, the impact it feels like it should have had because that's the end thing. Souls-like, Soulsborne, everybody loves that. But... even despite that, it didn't feel like it had the kind of impact it should have. Would that had that been enough? And I agree with you. It didn't stand out.
I'm trying to remember the game. Brad, I either reviewed it or did something with it. It was another Souls-like 2D sprite-based. The big cone-shaped head guy. Forgetting the name of it right now. Also an indie game. Wasn't an Indie World Showcase a while back. But that game offered like actual gameplay, like levels on top of boss encounters. To me, you can't just have boss rush. Like
Blasphemy.
Thank you. That's Blasphemous.
Blasphemous.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Good job. Good pull, Kyle. I just need a little bit more than this. I mean, maybe there is, and it's not like, hey, we're not really like talking about that part yet or something. But boss rush to me just seems like a mode. It seems like, I guess, in a scale of an indie game, do what you do best and start there. But it's gonna, like, when you invoke this name, you are inviting this level of criticism. Like, you should understand what you're getting yourself into and understand the expectations you're setting.
The boss rush genre is real slim. I'm sure many games exist where it's only boss fights. I kind of like the idea. I think it can exist. What's funny about Blasphemous is the stupid cone head makes the game iconic in a way.
Yeah.
It gives the game a thing. You said the Conehead game, and I knew exactly which one you were talking about. I don't know if any of the designs of this actually stood out, and I think you really need that.
Yeah.
I think you need those enemies to be freaky in their own individual way, particular to this game. you're right, because you use so many familiar words and games to compare this to. But I think a boss rush game could work.
I think it just doesn't stand out, I guess, visually. It doesn't really have that visual hook. I mean, it looks nice, and it is the kind of game I think that could end up being quite nice. Like when I first saw it, because it's kind of that top-down look, that I got more of a Hyper Light Drifter vibe from it, which that's a beautiful
That's what I was
game.
trying to think.
Yeah.
That was the name. I kept saying Bastion. We're like, no, it's the other one.
It also kind of reminded me of Fury just a bit, but with the movement and stuff. But I would say Hyper Light Drifter reminded me more of that, and that's a beautiful game. But it didn't stand out as much as that game does.
That's the thing. Like, I think of all these other games that are coming to mind, and not this. I'm only thinking of this because it's being presented to me. But I feel like tomorrow or 2 days from now, I'm gonna forget about this and remember. Even if I can remember the name, I remember Blasphemous. I remember Hyper Light Drifter. I remember Fury. I'm gonna remember Bastion. It's like I remember these games because they stood out, but they also were really good games too. And I do agree, Kyle. Like, you can do a very good boss rush game, but like I don't think you need to call it like Eldest Souls and like invoke that. You get what I'm saying? Like comparing the Souls comparison. Don't do that. Like you should not do that. Stop that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you want to make a boss rush game that's excellent? Just do that. Let it stand on its own 2 feet. You're kind of like sabotaging yourself here, shooting yourself in the foot. I feel like almost if you don't execute like flawlessly, and even then it might not be enough because people are gonna ask for more. So I don't know, but at the same time you gotta trying to grab attention. So like. Maybe Souls Faithful, like, you said Souls, I gotta play it. I don't care. I gotta try it out. I'm gonna spend $10, $20, sure. You know, if I'm gonna crap on it afterwards, I still gotta buy it and play it. So maybe they know better than I do. You know,
At least a few of those.
Yeah. Sizzle reel time.
All right.
Nice.
Blair Witch coming summer 2020.
Skip.
Don't think we need to say anything else about that. Ghost of a Tale.
Oh, the mouse game.
Yep. Originally funded as Indigo campaign. It's pretty much on everything else already. They gave coming spring 2020. Performance on it looked a little rough. I don't know if it had performance issues on other platforms, but if that was Switch footage, it might need a little bit more polish.
Well, also the trailer, and I haven't played it on any platform, but the trailer made it seem like there are realistic spiders and stuff, and that is not. I'm never playing it.
So
I hate
realistic spiders, but what about like hairy ones?
Are they hairy? Are they like realistic? Like okay, a good example is like Twilight Princess has that giant. Goma boss, but it's armored. It doesn't bother me. It looks like a cartoonish kind of.
Okay.
But if they're like the tarantula type enemies in Resident Evil or look anything close, nope, never playing it.
Ben has the exact same thing.
Ben.
Never playing it.
We need to get
a
you and Ben podcast about this.
We should do it. I can't handle it. Yeah.
This one I think is going to excite more people because I think it's going to get attention because the platform originally was released on Sky Children of Light. That game company's game for iOS came out last year. Coming to Switch, I think this game is going to gain a lot more traction on Switch.
I'm curious about it because I didn't play it on mobile. So
they gave some details, like Sword explores 7 dreamlike realms, encounter and socialize with like-minded players from around the world. So it's like online. Feel free to express yourself with delightful selection of character customizations. I mean, every online game's going to have those by now.
I will say that I got it never pulled away from seeming like Journey in the Sky to me. Like I want to see more. I want to see what more of like what makes this game stand apart next to Journey because it looks so Journey inspired, but in the sky this time. Kind of like Abzu felt like Journey in the water. So
I like Abzu. Abzu's pretty sweet.
It's a great game, and I'm not saying. I mean, hey, if you're gonna try to emulate something, go for the best. And Journey is incredible, and so is Abzu. I loved it, but as much as I want to check this game out, I need to know what makes it stand apart.
Sure, understandable. Before we were recording, you talked about this game, Sky Racket.
This stood out to me immediately when I saw it. I'm like a sucker for that 16-bit pixel art, kind of just Sonic-esque art style. Like there's one part of the trailer where there's like a vibrant cityscape that's glowing all these cool different colors, reminding me of Chemical Plant. I looked up some of the information about the game. Apparently the soundtrack is like 16-bit chiptune. This is all stuff that's checking every box for me. I love stuff like this.
Where's they on their site? Catchy original soundtrack, sure to please 16-bit fans.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
They're going for you, Ash.
Yeah, they are.
They're going for you.
Yep.
But it's got this kind of almost Scott Pilgrim-esque art style in terms of the Scott Pilgrim game. It almost kind of had that look to it.
I can see that. Yeah, the blending of like calling it the world's first shoot 'em up breaker, mixing classic genres, as you said.
Right.
It's like that. I mean, that's attention grabbing, and like I did like the art style of it. It definitely
just popped to me. In general, yeah.
I mean, I think they do a good job of trying to sell with these bullet points. Bizarre boss battles. No, really, they're very strange. That's,
That's good. That's good
Yeah,
copy.
they got the
Yeah.
humor.
Yeah.
Bullet hell challenges to thrill and test your will. I like this part. Mastering the mechanics of rebounding attacks and find creative ways to use your enemy's weapons against them. Like puzzles, boss puzzles. Like, there you go. That's good. Because I thought it was going to be just dodge and spam the fire button. But no, there's going to be a little bit more to it.
And apparently it's 2 players, like co-op, you
Yep.
can, which is cool. And I mean, yeah, and when I
co-op.
went back to watch Indie World again before recording this, I saw it's actually out now. This is one of the few games they shadow dropped.
It was one of the 2 shadow drops for today.
So I might go home and check that out tonight, actually.
Nice.
Superliminal, already out on PC, but it's coming to other platforms
Game
this
looks
year.
so sick.
First-person puzzle game based on force perspective and optical illusions.
Looks really interesting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
This is did he already cover this on an easy update when it came out already, or no?
I don't think so.
I expect it might. This next one's also real intriguing and out there. Wingspan. This is based on an actual board game.
All right.
A relaxing strategy card game where your goal is to discover and attract the best birds.
I could not believe this game when I was looking at that.
Really strange. Like it's a bird watching
When
video.
you Google this game, you actually come to the actual physical game. And like all its rules and like where to buy sets and stuff and decks. I was like, whoa, there's a whole thing for this.
Yeah.
Single player and multiplayer modes for up to 5 players, based on the award-winning competitive medium-weight card-driven engine-building board game.
There's a lot of qualifiers there. Medium weight engine. Okay.
I think there's a lot more going on in this game than I gave it credit for.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's
Seems
like,
like it.
like obviously they got like a lot of like. They're putting a lot of effort into like using real birds, real environments, real sound recordings, but they say multiple ways to accumulate points with birds, bonus cards, and end of round goals. So this seems like if you're, I feel like there'll be some familiarity here for people who like play card games and like board games. Like there'll be something. Oh, I get this. Like I get the blueprint of this, but it's just so different, like birds and stuff, and like because I thought it was literally like, oh, I'm gonna scout the forest for a bird and mark it in my journal, and like that's not this at all.
The aesthetic is 1-to-1 a bird watcher's book.
Yeah,
it's all very highly accurate illustrations of these birds, not even
It's
photographs.
outfit
really
of your
interesting.
character that
Yeah.
they present in the trailer is like, oh, stereotypical. Oh, you look like you're ready to go on exploration here. Coming spring 2020.
Yeah, cool.
Dicey Dungeons. Developed by Distractionware Limited, a fast-paced deck-building roguelike. Deck building and roguelite.
You lose me with roguelike.
Same.
Okay, so you lost to it for roguelike.
Same.
I was curious. I want to know. I was like,
Yeah.
deck building, but roguelike.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fighting Lady Luck herself. That's the way the whole dice thing comes in. Yeah, it's all revolves around dice rolling, I guess. Play 6 different characters, each with unique play styles and abilities, coming later this year.
That's on PC now.
Oh, it is?
Oh, okay.
Okay. This next one, Bounty Battle. Developed by Darkscreen Games, published by Merge Games, is the ultimate indie fighting game. A new 2D fighter where you can pit your favorite indie heroes against one another. Indie heroes from games like Guacamelee,
Okay.
Dead Cells,
That's pretty cool.
Darkest Dungeon,
Nice.
Yeah.
Owlboy.
Okay.
It's a pretty eclectic lineup. I like that.
Host of game modes including tournament mode, local multiplayer, tutorial, and training room to master your character. Hey, tutorial is not a joke. You
need a tutorial.
need a tutorial mode in a fighting game.
Yeah.
Over 20 fighters from your favorite indie games, each with their own moveset and special attacks. Only give us 4. Each fighter has their own minion to summon and join the fight.
On paper, this sounds really exciting, but what they showed of it didn't do anything for me.
It's funny. It's dark.
Yeah, it's weirdly dark, and I was gonna say, well, we already both know that, or all know that Shovel Knight and Shantae are gonna be in this because they're in every indie.
I was literally about
crossover.
to ask,
but
like,
it may be
what do we
too long,
think?
maybe
Do we
too
think
dark
Shovel
for
Knight's
that.
appearing in this? Because I was like, maybe Shovel Knight's not, because Shovel Knight got upgraded with that Smash credentials now.
He doesn't need him anymore.
This is I don't need to use small fries anymore.
Yeah, but that's not the yacht club mentality, you know.
know.
Like I feel like the thing is like I just feel like there's so many indie fighters that already have this as their main pool. Like all these indie crossover
What was the
characters.
one I played? Brawler Smash, like it was like
Brawlhalla.
Brawlhalla.
And
Yeah,
there's also
like,
Brawl Out.
Yeah,
And
Brawl
it's-
Out.
Yeah, so
Brawl also got some indie characters. In
Yeah,
it too,
that's the
right?
one.
Yeah.
I played
Yeah.
it at like an E3 at Microsoft's booth and had like cameo characters. I was like, oh.
So
okay.
yeah, it makes these games because there are other games that have already done this with this kind of pool, the indie version of Smash. Not that this doesn't look exactly like Smash. Looks like it's doing its own thing.
It's a 2D fighter, though, so I think that's
yeah.
the big difference. Is that a lot of these other ones were like Smash clones or like not. Like it depends on how good these mechanics are.
Exactly.
Like if they actually make a legit 2D fighter,
that could be interesting.
That's
Oh, I want to say it's 2D fighter with 2 health bars like Street Fighter.
Oh no, but like it's going more in like that direction, I think, than even Smash.
Yeah, this looked
Maybe
less.
I'm wrong?
I mean,
I'm
no,
not
of
sure.
course we only watched it. 30 seconds or even that.
Because it was,
But-
you're saying it was hard to like. I didn't even know what I
Get
was
a
watching
feel
at
for.
first. I thought it was like
Yeah.
a beat 'em up or something at first. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what is this? Oh, it's a fighting game. Okay.
I didn't get Smash vibes from it though, like I would
Yeah.
something like Brawl Out or Brawlhalla.
But I mean, hey, making something that's a little bit more unique, that's a good thing.
I agree.
Because, there's so much.
Got to stand out.
Yeah, for sure. This next one I think is gonna make it to our group stream at some point.
Oh yeah.
Moving Out.
Oh
Developed
yeah.
by SMG Studio and published by Team 17.
Oh yeah, that
17
doesn't
keep
surprise
me very
me.
busy.
Okay, yeah.
Moving Out is a ridiculous physics-based moving simulator that brings a new meaning to couch co-op.
I mean, that
Clever or
honestly.
no?
Oh. Did they put couch co-op in quotation marks?
Yes, they did.
Oh, then not clever.
Not clever.
No.
They rely on us to get the pun on our own.
Enjoy the story mode solo as an independent contractor or team up with some friends. Up to 4 players can cozy up on the couch to argue over the best way to move a couch.
You know how obsessed...
mean-
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I mean that sounds. This looked a lot of fun. It just it looks so much like it's cribbing from Overcooked.
Yep.
And it's so obvious. It hurts that it's so obvious. However, again, if you're gonna pull from something, pull from the best. Overcooked is obviously beloved because it's so great and how fun it is as a couch co-op experience. So this does seem like it puts its own spin on it just enough.
I will
Yeah.
say like Overcooked is a fantastic game. It's not my personal favorite type
Same.
of game, but I really understand its appeal. And there's something about like a culinary game that everyone's kind of familiar with cooking and the basics of that stuff, and it's still drawing on like that chaos of like multiple people trying to do multiple tasks. But for some reason, I think is more than food in a kitchen. Moving furniture is going to be more universally speaks to people more universally. The frustration of moving a piece of furniture, because cooking is kind of like a joy for people. It's something they take a passion in, and like it's like eating as well. Whereas moving,
No one likes moving.
Even the people who are paid to do it, I don't think like moving.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
something you dread, you don't want to do, and especially moving large sums of furniture across like this in chaotic fashion. This is like. I think this has the potential to be, and as you said, why not just, copy the best? And
Yeah.
I think this concept is really good. I'm surprised no one's done it before this. So,
Same.
Yeah. They give some more about like the storyline about it. They're saying like, obviously how you move stuff from point A to B is not there's not gonna be a shortest path and stuff. So like don't expect like obvious paths to get through. Got to get creative, working with your partner, working by yourself. And this is kind of funny. Every moving company starts small, but as your reputation ranks up, so does your destinations. Move through sleepy suburbs, frenzied farms, haunted houses, virtual reality, and lands beyond.
Nice.
I think they know exactly what they're doing. I think this is a smart game. It's a smart game for right now. It's trend watching, and I think
for
they're
sure.
playing this really well.
There's definitely a craving for this type of game.
Yeah.
And this last part, great. Are you a rookie? No problem. Adjust the game's difficulty so everyone can play.
Oof.
Like I think is a missing thing from a lot of games. It's
Yes.
like let people play on an easier setting if they really want to. For like a multiplayer fun party game like this, it should absolutely be there. Coming April 28th, 2020. So
Okay.
it has a firm actual date. I think the only one besides the Shadow Drops to have an actual release date. And finally, we come to the last game of our Indie World Showcase.
Right.
This is the one where they go, we have one last game. We're going to have. They were blunt this time. They said, we have one last game. And then when it was done, because I think they sniffed a little bit that there might be some slight, there's got to be something else. This wasn't your big finish.
Yeah.
Because when they came back after this game, they're like, no, that's really it. We're not lying. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
And I was like, you only say that when you know something's up.
Yeah.
So I wonder if something maybe got pulled or something, but we don't need to speculate about that because what actually happened was Exit the Gungeon was their big finish for this Indie World Showcase. A game that's already out on mobile devices and is now out on Steam and Switch. It was the second shadow drop of this Indie World
Is the whole game an elevator ride?
Pretty much. So, obviously published by Devolver Digital, Dodge Roll Developing. It is a bullet hell dungeon climber. Immediately following the adventure of the Misfits, following the adventure of Enter the Gungeon. I can't say Gungeoneers. Is that what they're called?
Sure, that's pretty good.
That's their word for it.
Yeah.
The Gungeon has become a paradox since collapsing. Armed with an ever-changing weapon, an insatiable need to loot, and the trusty dodge roll, each of your heroes must ascend and escape via their own unique route of increasingly perilous elevators.
So yeah, and the way I would describe it differently from Enter the Gungeon, which was top down, is this is a side.
Yeah.
So you're jumping around and dealing with gravity.
True. It has the horizontal movement, but like there's still a vertical nature to it because things are still coming from top down at you as well. So it's kind of like mixing up like vertical shoot 'em up and horizontal shoot 'em up a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah.
The vibe I got from it a little bit.
Love that idea though.
Yeah.
Of you got a game called Enter the Gungeon. Like, hey, why not exit?
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
With all this emphasis, they keep saying it's frantic, fast paced, like, got to get the heck out of there. But they say there might be some opportunities to slow down and chat with some familiar faces, even a few familiar ones, just for a brief amount of time.
Shops.
Yeah.
Shops.
Yeah.
Shifting rooms. They talk about shifting rooms. Mentioned this generic stuff. So, yeah, I know a lot of people liked Enter the Gungeon.
Mm-hmm.
A sequel should, go over well with people. I think the fact that it's already out on another platform, it's a little. The last few Indie World showcases have ended with something that was unknown. I feel like it was even if you don't agree it was a big deal, it was still surprising.
Right.
I don't think this was too terribly surprising. Axiom Verge 2 rounded out last time.
I was going to say, and that was, hype.
As little as they showed about that was still a big deal. And like, ooh, coming out sometime in the future, but hey. And we got Cadence of Hyrule. I mean, I think that's like the high bar of like shock value.
Yeah.
Right.
But even like I was expecting Hollow Knight. I was expecting
a lot
to
of
see
people
a little
were.
bit. I was like, Silksong is going to wrap us up here, baby.
Yeah.
I don't need to really say anything, but show me something, just a little taste of something new, something in that vein. And I didn't get it. And for some reason, I feel more justified in feeling disappointed at the conclusion of this than before. Usually when you don't get what you want out of a direct, it's like, that's on you, man. Like, learn your lesson. But for some reason, Indie World showcases and even Indies have been a little bit formulaic, I feel. They have had a flow to them. They we talked about earlier, and I think I really would love to know if this was something else was meant for being here. This leads all that crazy speculation and stuff. But I guess my question, I like to make this a conversation. Do you think this was a worthy conclusion to the Indie World Showcase? And also, do you think it's fair of someone like me to like look at it that way? And is it unfair to this game and stuff? This
is the thing. I think Cadence of Hyrule shouldn't have been in an indie showcase because it did set up too high of expectations for these things. Should just be highlighting little games that aren't getting enough attention. And so Damiani, it scares me to think that they have to think of making it an event every time. And so that kind of thinking is what makes me apprehensive about it.
And that may be actually a good thing to kind of, to have those expectations reset, because I think the question of whether this was a strong finish also depends, to be fair, on whether you're a fan of Enter the Gungeon or not. I didn't play it. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't play it. So for me, the appeal of this being the big finisher was lost on me. That doesn't mean it wasn't a worthy finish. I mean, if I was a hardcore Enter the Gungeon fan and that was my game of whatever year it came out, that's a huge finish. But the same could be said of Axiom Verge 2, minus the fact that it was a complete unknown. I think, as you said, part of the problem was that this game already exists on mobile. It's not a completely new factor. But, for someone who doesn't care about Metroidvania titles, they probably thought Axiom Verge 2 was a crappy finish. So, or let's not say crappy, let's say just a disappointing finish. So I think partially it has to do with where you're coming at it from, but I don't think it's an unfair conclusion because I feel the same way. I thought it was kind of a slightly deflating finish, although I understood outside of myself why it would be exciting for some viewers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me reframe it a little bit then. I don't expect like a mega like Cadence Hyrule was obviously an abnormality.
Yeah.
And I do agree it probably didn't need to be. It could have fit into a normal direct and been huge on its own.
Yeah.
Within the scale of like indie games and not expecting like a megaton announcement, I feel like I have an expectation, and it's a realistic expectation, that the finale of your Indie World Direct, if you're going to set it up as like something to close out your showcase, something at least unknown.
Yeah.
There were games. Sure. I feel there are maybe some games at the beginning of this that could have taken the place of the end.
Yeah.
That we've talked about already. And also I think there are games from last Indie Showcase potentially that could have made a second appearance here that would have, you know, an update to them that could have served. So I guess like either a big update, a new update to something, showing off something new about it, or just a new unveiling of a new indie game that we haven't heard about yet that they feel is special. I know there are a lot of people out there, they work really hard in their games and they want everyone to take them, you know, seriously, and hopefully they lead to success and everything that comes with that. But I also think there's a lot of indie games being developed at any time, and I think Nintendo has the ability to reach out and like find a game that like this is our closer. Like every three, they do these like 2, maybe 3 times a year. I feel like they can find a closer. I'm criticizing this basically on an entertainment value right here.
And here's, I actually get it. I actually get it, Damiani. I get where you're coming from. So my opinion is right. There's a cute shows. The highest, the most escalated reaction you should have is, oh, neat, cool. But if it is only just cool, neat indie games every time, the audience will reduce. And so
for the finale,
for the entire thing.
I'm not arguing for the whole thing. I'm just saying for the finale.
Right. So if you do save this cool showstopper for the finale and everything, your audience increases and you have more eyeballs on the entire show. And so that's where I get you. You do kind of have to put on a show to draw in the crowds.
Right.
And that I believe I'm with you on the same page there, actually.
I mean, I think maybe part of the appeal too was that this was the console debut, and that was kind of like, hey, we got that console timed exclusive, which for a game, an indie game with the name power that Enter the Gungeon has, that's a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. But it isn't as big a deal as something completely new that came out of nowhere, especially something completely new with name power like Axiom Verge 2. So, you know, I definitely, it does make me wonder, you know, kind of just want to just consider whether that actually was always the end of the presentation, and if there was something that was pulled at the last second for whatever reason, whether it's coronavirus or something else. Oh yeah, you know, it does make me wonder.
I totally agree. My final thought on this, so I don't want to dwell on this too much, is that I would close my argument saying I feel like you could have taken everything that was presented in here and just rearranged 1 or 2 things, and it would have been it could have improved it.
I agree.
Let's take something else that was present here and made it its closer, and put Enter the Gungeon more towards like a different spot.
I mean, they could have ended with the Last Campfire, because Hello Games has name power. Sean Murray.
Yeah, having Sean Murray just like at the end,
like that would have been a good surprising. Whoa, what is this? Oh, this isn't now. I know that technically the Last Campfire has been known by people who follow the company.
It was a vague teaser though. The last time we saw it. Yeah.
And so for a lot of us, I think that would have been like, whoa, what is this cool new game? And then have you know keep that momentum going with Exit the Gungeon in the middle of the presentation.
Sure.
Like I think that might have been maybe the way to do it.
I think it would have been an awesome thing to even have like Swery's speech be the ending, like one last thing, and then all of a sudden it's Swery on screen, just like, hey, guess what? Here's what Wild Alice is looking on, and like this is the newest, new look, the latest look at our game here, and even though we known about it, it's like, hey, that's still a cool conclusion. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting too. I'm always an advocate for like people need to chill out on directs and stuff.
Right,
for some reason, indie directs, it's like. I watched some, and they're generally pretty good. I just always feel the last few, like, last one did end on a good thing with Axiom Verge, but I feel like the flow of them, there's a weird arrangement sometimes. Also, sure. The sizzle reel thing, it's nice to put in there, but, like, because you covered those games that would, like, double the length of the video presentation, but at the same time, I was like, why? I guess it's visibility, but some of those games, like Blair Witch, why is Blair Witch in here?
Mm-hmm. That is a good question.
I was like, Blair Witch doesn't belong in here.
To me, it's like, we have this too. We have this too.
Yeah.
Let me clarify my argument. Right. Yeah. I think you could have cut some of those sizzle games and added 1 or 2 of them and actually talked about them for a little bit.
Right.
Like Sky Switch version, like, hey, talk about this.
I agree.
Talk about, like, Sky Capped.
Sky Racket.
Sky Racket.
Yeah,
geez.
yeah.
Those two. You could have like picked those who like, let's talk about these for just a little bit longer. I'm like, I think that makes a stronger presentation. Sizzle reels to me are just like, hey, some people, the company, they want you to talk about this stuff. Just throw it out there. It's like, everyone knows what you're doing. Don't do that. Like, it's, I don't want to say it's like, goes so mean to say it's wasteful, but I think it hurts the overall thing in the end. And if that's mean, I don't mean to be mean. I'm just trying to be honest about it. Yeah.
These will do better. The games will do better the more people who watch. So I get what you're saying.
Plus, it's also difficult when you have a sizzle reel like that. There's no clear delineation between what makes a game worthy of not being on the sizzle reel versus not being a big enough deal to not being a big enough deal to not be. I
guess that's
like it's like why is Sky or Sky Racket? Why are those more?
So
important
this is
than,
like,
but again, that's all subjective though. That's the thing is like that's an endless rabbit hole.
That's such a good point, Ash. Like I was obviously being clouded by my own bias here. Like this is Damiani's definitive vision, but someone's all like, there could be like way more people are like, Tommy, you're like, I'm gonna see comments, dude, you're insane. What are you talking about? It was great that these things. It was great, and like I get it. Like I could absolutely be in the minority here about this, but
and that's why what we were saying earlier about the range of titles here is always so great because if we're designed by me, it would probably be all platformers, rhythm games, and platformers and rhythm games probably. So it's good that they do such a good job despite the pacing issues sometimes and despite the balance issues. One thing I noticed is that they always seem to really take a scattershot approach of really nailing lots of different genres, age groups, vibes, art styles, and I think they did that well here too.
Say something poignant, I guess. This boils down to, unless I'm learning from this, it just gives me a lot more respect for the people who put these together and the difficulty between doing this.
Yeah.
Because despite everything I said, it's still a very excellently put together presentation. And I'm really glad they do this. I'm really glad they highlight indie games like this.
Same.
And they make it an ordeal. The fact that we're even arguing over make a bigger fish is like that has so much wonders for like indie games and like indie developers, I think. So
well, Nintendo's really stepped up, as I said earlier with the whole PixelJunk stuff. I mean, there was a time where you wouldn't believe it, but PlayStation were doing what Nintendo's doing now with indies. They were the ones propping indies up, and that's where you went. PlayStation was the indie destination. Xbox before that had the Summer of Arcade, and they were propping up indies, and Microsoft still does it to a degree. But Nintendo now has stepped in as the de facto, no, we are the indie guys. We are where you want to go to be visible, and, if you're into indie games, the Switch is where you want to be. And I really appreciate that Nintendo does dedicate these whole presentations and don't just throw them into a sizzle reel at the end of a main direct, because no one would ever care or even see them. So I really do appreciate that they put the production money and time into these presentations that are all about indies, completely separate from what they and we all know most people buy a Switch for, which are the big Nintendo IPs. So, good on Nintendo for making that a focus of theirs, I think.
100% agree. That is going to do it for our episode of Friend Code. There were no patron questions this time because you can see this episode is coming up on 2 hours. So
is it really? It's been 2 hours.
Is it really?
Well, the recording says 2 hours, but we didn't start recording
so we're creeping up.
So we're creeping up on it.
Okay.
But I know this. I know when we're doing any kind of direct thing, it's always going to be a minimum of like around 2 hours.
You got another direct next week, buddy.
Oh, that hasn't been confirmed. Behave, Kyle. This is why I lectured on past episodes. Stop assuming things are going to be happening.
Yes.
But there's rumors out there that says one will probably happen next week. Hey, we'll see. If it is, I'll be delighted. I'll be excited. Let's talk about it. Since we didn't get into the whole original topic we were talking about was like E3 going away and stuff. But you know what? We'll save it for next time. Even if there's a direct or something, we talk about the effect of the direct in E3 and stuff like that. But there were no patron questions this time. However, if you'd like to submit a question for a future episode of Friend Code, and we're actually going to be doing patron Q&A for that episode, I will make a post the week we are recording. $5 and up patrons, you can then submit your questions for that episode for consideration. And also, if you're a $5 patron, you are a part of our early access tier. You get episodes of Friend Code and some of our other shows early. So for those of you who join this on Wednesdays, thank you very much for your support. And for those of you who watch it when it goes public on Fridays, thank you for just watching it and supporting the show. Thank you so much for that. We also got some shout outs for the month of March 2020. Shout outs to El Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Caleb Togi Crawford, Will Schmuck, and Mr. One Luigi, all in unison. Shout out.
I had to guess that on the fly.
You did better than I did.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Mine was short. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I messed up.
I didn't want to do I don't do the cadence thing.
Got it.
I'm not ripping off the podcast.
Got it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was the thing I went to the first time. I was like, no, you can't do this. Come on, man.
Yeah.
But
Every
thank you.
podcast has their own shout outs.
I guess thought that.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, again, thank you. Shout outs again. And thank you both of you for joining me this late on Tuesday night recording.
Thank you.
Indie World Showcase, always a pleasure to talk about it.
Yeah.
Always a fun time. And thank you very much, Kyle, for doing the ranking of this.
This
Yes.
is official. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, the official ranking and locking it in. Boom. Can't dispute this. It's official, 100%, endorsed by the Pokemon Company. You can find it on there. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, thank you for doing that. That was a lot of fun, Kyle. And until next time, everybody, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.